Hey, in the immortal words of Judy Brown, happiness is a choice. We're happy you're spending some time with us, Chip and Zay, right here on an Overreaction Monday. Tons to get into. Zay, how you doing, my man?
What's cracking, Chip? Happy Monday, everybody. Feeling good, feeling great. How are you?
Doing good, man. It's been a lively weekend. I want to say congratulations to Tiger Brown, my son, for graduating from college. It was a great weekend, and now he is in the real world, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Old Tiger leaving the nest, creating his own path. It's a beautiful thing, man. You've done a good job. Congrats to you, man. That's good parenting.
Thanks, Zay.
That's good parenting right there. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate that.
Like, you're no Anthony Edwards neglecting your kids, paying them off to the baby mama. You're not that guy. You've been involved.
Not that guy.
You've been involved the whole time. That's a beautiful thing.
I've been trying, man. Been trying. How was your weekend? Anything wild and woolly we need to get into?
Man. Just a lot of hate watching. You know, ain't nothing wrong with that. Us Longhorn fans. Very happy weekend for us on the hate watch. You know what I'm saying? You know, the Texas A&M softball. Man, wow. What happened? Liberty. Come up in y'all's hood? Like, what? It ain't Conference USA champs? Conference USA? I didn't even know they played softball.
What? Yeah, that was a wowzer. A&M softball, the #1 overall seed, and they go down in regional play. They got swept by Liberty.
No, they won a game.
Well, no, A&M won a game, but they played Liberty twice and lost both times.
Oh, I thought they lost the rubber match. I think they lost the rubber match. I think they played Liberty 3 times total.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
That was something, because I thought that A&M team was going to be hard to handle. Meanwhile, Texas handles their business. They cruise through the Austin regional. Now we'll take on Clemson.
Too easy.
In the super regional.
Yeah.
With a chance to get to the Women's College World Series. Man.
Yeah, Reese Atwood ain't playing around.
No.
Reese Atwood, 13 RBIs over the weekend?
2 home runs yesterday.
Yo, she cocky too. She be bat flipping like she knows it's gone. Right when it releases the bat. She has such a pretty swing. And Mike White, here we go. You know what I'm saying? A&M embarrassed Texas in the SEC tournament. That was rough. That was one of those, damn, like
14-2.
Basics, yeah. And while A&M was all high and mighty, pumping their chest out like, oh, we beat Texas like this, we could beat anyone. Didn't get a chance to play Oklahoma because I guess that game got rained out for the SEC championship in that tournament. But one team went one way, one team went another. And Mike White's crew said, yo, ladies, you don't want to feel this ever again, do you? And ladies said, hell no, Mike. I'm just picturing them calling them Mike. They're calling them by their first name just because, yo, you got to check everybody in an ass whooping like that. And them girls this past weekend, that Michigan game, 16-4, yikes. Like,
you got to say it in his New Zealand accent, though. highlighties. You don't ever want to feel that again, do you?
Yeah, that sounds better for sure. But
Well,
yeah, good weekend. Good weekend of sports. Shout out Scottie Scheffler, man. Come on, what are we doing? It's good to be a Longhorn.
That was a beating he administered on the field at the PGA Championship. He was so excited. He threw that trophy in the air and the lid came flying off.
Yeah, why didn't they give him a heads up? Are you just supposed to know? Was the lid always that loose?
Right. That trophy's huge.
Right? Yeah. So like you would think everything would be intact and that someone will prevent that from happening. I don't know. Maybe he's just supposed to know. Maybe it's just like the lid comes off, but like at least give me a heads up. He's overjoyed with emotion. You know what I'm saying? Right. I haven't seen Scottie show that much emotion in a while. He threw the hat, cussing a little bit. Like, y'all forgot, y'all tried to lock my man Scottie up not too long ago. Like, he remembers that. They tried to dude Scottie.
That's why he was throwing that hat. He was like, I would have won this damn thing last year, but y'all threw me in jail.
Threw me in jail.
So now, a year later, I won this thing. John Rahm Schmam. Rory, never saw you.
Yeah.
And he was paired with Rory and Douche to start the tournament.
Oh, was he?
DuChambeau. Because they were all the champs.
DuChambeau. Huh? DuChambeau, that seems a little unnecessary. Why you got to be all that?
Well, he won the U.S. Open last year. And Rory won the Masters. So
we're calling Bryson DeChambeau DuChambeau now? What did he do to you? What did he do?
Well, it's the nice nickname for him. He's come along though. He's come along. He's not so much the doucher anymore. He's more DuChambeau. I was at the SMU homecoming football game last year when he showed up with his U.S. Open trophy. He was letting everyone touch it. And I was like, okay, way to go, DuChambeau. So, you know.
You got to stun on him. I respect it. You got to stun on him and let him know what you've done. But, yeah, shout out to Scottie Scheffler, man. Like, Rory's still on that Masters victory run. We're not worried. You know, Rory – it's taken Rory way too long to get that green jacket. I don't expect Rory to win for a while. I'm just keeping it a buck here. Like, he's still popping champagne. He probably going to sleep in the jacket. Like, Rory deserves to enjoy the fruits of his labor when it comes to winning the Masters. A long time coming. So I don't think Rory's going to be really competing. He might show up. You know, he might play, but he kind of chilling right now, you know? So Scottie, that's why he's one of the guys doing his thing.
CB's saying, why can't Spieth figure it out? Spieth just needs to win the PGA Championship to complete the career Grand Slam. But he's not been the same since that wrist injury. And it kind of changed his swing, and I don't know that he believes in his game the way he used to, which I can appreciate. You know, having this knee injury, it kind of messes you up. You're not just thinking about your game anymore. You're thinking about, okay, can
I move this way? Should I move that way?
That way.
Yeah.
But Scheffler, man, they came for him, but then he didn't buckle. They did. The field. And they just fell off. What'd he win by? 6? 5?
5.
I mean,
it be like that sometimes, man. That pressure, once Sunday come around, you know, certain guys don't even sleep from Saturday to Sunday when they know they're in the mix, when they got a lead. That pressure creep up on you, and it bursts pipes for a reason. So do you have that mental toughness to get through, or are you going to fold like some of the guys we saw yesterday?
How about Johnny Vegas, former former Texas golfer. He was the leader after round 2.
What happened?
I don't know what happened to him. I mean, he'd never been – no player from Venezuela had ever led a major before, so he broke through.
Good for
But,
him.
you know.
The pressure probably jumped on him, though.
Scottie
happened.
Scottie.
That's fair, Joe K. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Some guys are intimidating. Tiger just used to intimidate folks. Like, you be having the best 3 days, Thursday through Saturday. Tiger's just creeping around in the mix. Sunday come along, Tiger's in the mix. Some guys just said, this is too much attention for me. What are these cameras doing here? And there you go. You're thinking about the wrong thing instead of thinking about each shot. Each shot can make or break your day. Each hole can make and break your day. So how are you going to apply that to your game when you got one of the greatest trying to dethrone you? That's tough, man. That's tough. That's why I couldn't be no golfer. That's for sure. The mental part of the game, nah, your boy Zay couldn't handle that.
Johnny Vegas, he finished top 5. That's good.
That is good. That's a
big shot there. 64, 70, 72, 73. That's a $650,000 payday for Johnny Vegas.
Good money right there.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Texas country. Yeah, do your thing.
Texas baseball. SEC regular season champs in year 1 under Jim Schlossnagle. Is that good?
It's incredible.
Win it by 2 games?
It's incredible. Like, I didn't see this coming. You knew Jim Schlossnagle was going to come in and do a solid job, but you just never know at the end of the day. And with all the adversity that this team has had, from Max Ballou, who was dynamite Thursday night, to, Jared Spencer, and just kind of moving guys around. The whole Will Gasparino thing is a little odd right now, him in and out of the lineup, but you accomplished what you needed to. You needed to go in Oklahoma, get you a game, and you got you the whole series. So you got to be very pleased with this team. And, a lot of guys in this lineup, a lot of guys in this pitching rotation who are given new opportunity and new life, they perform for the most part. Ruger Riojas, that still makes me a little nervous. He's really struggling. I guess, what was he hit for that loss on Friday night? Only loss in the Oklahoma game, which that was Oklahoma's playing interesting on that win where they were just butting the whole time. That was crazy.
Well, remember, we talked about their speed.
Yeah.
They just want to get on base and cause havoc.
No,
and
they got about 3 Kenny Lofton-looking brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fast, man. I was impressed. They were playing some serious small ball, and I don't know what was going on with the defense. Like, I guess when they were butting the ball, they were hitting the perfect spots where it was hard for this defense to make plays in the infield. But, hey, they figured it out the next day, put up 9 runs, and SEC champs going into Mobile, Alabama, number 1 seed SEC tournament. Which, how does this go, Chip? Like, let's say if A&M wins the SEC tournament, is it like basketball and they get an automatic bid?
I think so.
That would make sense, right? Like,
yeah,
the winner of the conference tournament, no matter who they are, gets an automatic bid in, because we know A&M, they're very down bad when it comes to baseball, and people calling for Michael Early's job, and it's like, already? Like, I don't even know if the dude's unpacked his boxes yet in the Jim Schlossnagle's old office. Like, can he at least get settled? It's been 1 year. It's not his fault that he was given all of this expectation. Like, number 1 nation, that's a lot. But a lot has to go into it. And obviously, we don't know everything that's happened down there at College Station. We don't cover them. But to lose his job for real? Let's keep him on a little longer. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep him around a couple more years. It's the least you could do.
Man, they were trending in the right direction until they lost that series to Missouri.
That was rough.
They were showing some signs of life. They'd taken a series from Arkansas. They were picking things up. But then they go and get swept by a team that had not won an SEC game all year. Speaking of which, the bracket is out, and next week, well, actually, starting tomorrow, Alabama and Missouri will play to open things at 9:30 a.m. And then the winner of that game will play Tennessee. The winner of that game will play Texas on Thursday at 3. So Texas baseball will not play until Thursday. But
that's 3 Eastern, right?
What's that?
Is that 3 Eastern, Alabama time?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Gonna make your adjustments Central Time. But you go back and you look at the they do need to, figure out what they're gonna do with the pitching, because it was Cade Bing on Thursday, and then it was Ruger on Friday, and he went 3.1 innings and gave up 5 runs on 7 hits. Only 3 of the runs were earned, but he didn't have a strikeout, and he had 2 walks, and he had a wild pitch. So that is a little concerning, but Ethan Walker came in, pitched 2 scoreless innings with 3 strikeouts, and then, of course, Grubby, came in and
got touched up a little bit.
So that was disconcerting. But Dylan Volantis named one of the semifinalists for the Golden Spikes Award, National Player of the Year Award. Dylan, the praying mantis Volantis.
Yeah, I think USA Today has him the best freshman in the SEC. I think Jim Schlossnagle, USA Today, best coach in the SEC. So congrats to both of those guys. But yeah, praying mantis Volantis. I don't know if because again, baseball is such a weird game. You don't want to change up too much. But also, you see Ruger Rioja struggling his ass off. Where do you go from there? Because, all right, 2 games ago, he really struggles. Okay, you give him another shot. He struggles again. Where do you go with that if you're Jim Schlossnagle as your day 1 starter? Like, Cade Bing was all right. Does this mean anything for Tommy Burns or Dylan Volantis or Max Grubbs? Can any of those guys become a starter? Which I know that's crazy in a way, especially Dylan Volantis, him being so young and how good he's been being a reliever / closer guy. But also, I don't know. Like,
I think you could start Grayson Saunier and see how that goes. Burns has been unbelievable. I mean, his last 4 appearances, it's been no hit relief. 6.2 innings, scoreless, hitless relief. And he's throwing throwing 97, 98 miles an hour. He's that power arm. I mean, you could start him and
I take a look at him
and see, because he's dealing right now, and see it might be a Johnny Allstaff type of situation, but maybe he goes, 4 innings. Then you bring in Sonier or Grubbs or Ruger. Then you throw Harris in. Maybe Ruger just needs to go back to being the number 3 guy.
Yeah. Because when Jared Spencer was in the lineup, Ruger Riojas was solid. You can rely on him. It looked like he was having a lot of fun too, smiling on the field and stuff. That Ruger Riojas, I haven't seen him lately. Ever since Jared Spencer got hurt, Ruger Riojas is a completely different pitcher and not a good way at all. So that's what's very odd. I don't know if it's fatigue. Clearly, we're at the end of the season. Like Jim Schlossnagle is coach of the year, USA Today, for a reason. You know what I'm saying? The dude knows what the hell he's doing. This staff, they know what the hell they're doing. And I felt like they were trying some things, this weekend, especially Friday in the loss. Like Friday in the loss, they were playing a lot of people, Chamberlain stuff.
And real quick, because we got to get to Max Ballou too. The Witherspoons for Oklahoma were unbelievable. The brothers, Kyson and was it Malachi or something? They were unbelievable, and the fact that Texas was able to wait them out was really something, because they weren't expecting that good of a performance from Malachi Witherspoon. He hadn't been that good. He came in with a 3-7 record, and he was almost untouchable until the end of his 6.1 innings. And then Texas, got to him just enough. And then they got to the bullpen, and then they opened it up. But
it was rain delay that game, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yep. And that took Luke Harrison out of a good,
a little groove.
He had a good start. 6 innings. He gave up 1 run on 2 hits, 5 strikeouts. And Burns is the one who came in and gave you 3 innings of scoreless, hitless relief with 6 strikeouts. But I agree with Rex here. Ballou's home run in game 1, the 3-run homer to break open a 4-4 game where Texas was trailing the whole first 6 innings, down 3-1 at one point. They claw back. Then you bring in Volantis with a 4-3 lead. He gives up a run. It's 4-4, and Ballou, who's been out for 27 games, has struck out 3 times that night, hits that 3-run bomb, and Texas wins it 7-4 to clinch the SEC, regular season championship. No doubt. That was as clutch of a home run. I mean, to me, Jonah Williams, 3 RBI double to beat Florida. The only game that they beat Florida. You've had a couple. You've had some, Jalen Flores, Grand Salami earlier this year. I mean, this team is just gritty, man. They've had guys step up when they need it, and it's impressive. It's impressive. This team likes each other. You can tell they're connected. They believe in each other. They're having fun. And I know that flu, that hit right around the Florida series made them all look kind of lifeless. I thought their energy was back at OU, and those fans were giving it to them, man.
Yeah, as they should. It's a rivalry. Like, that's what you have to expect when you get in these games. Even when it's not a rivalry, you're Texas. Like, you're going to get it from the fans regardless. But OU, you better be expected to have your mom be called out her name, and you better have some thick skin to be able to perform like this team did by winning this series. And Max Ballou, you missed 26 games, thumb injury. You're supposed to come back with a lot of rust. And here you are in a clutch situation, and you go yard in the middle of the field. Like, how much power you got to have? It really didn't even look like he got under it. like that to where it would carry over the fence.
Right.
Like it didn't. I don't think he thought that he got enough of it. But his reaction, man, priceless. Like he was so fired.
Yeah, he was like,
high, yeah, man, round second or round third. Like he knew, I needed that because he was struggling till that point, which you would expect him missing all of those games. Got to knock some of that rust off. But boy, did he ever do it. And yeah, he's just a ball player, man. That's why they've missed him so much for his ability to change the game like that. And hopefully he could get into more of a groove and maybe the Horns could, I don't really care much about the SEC tournament. Like you want to be playing good baseball, but you also don't want to get fatigued. You don't want to wear guys out, wear out arms. I want to take the tournament as like a weekday start or weekday games. You know what I'm saying? Like guys that haven't been playing as much, get them out there, let them play a little bit, and then go into the regional ready to go. Max Ballou, get as many at-bats as you can before regional play, but you already earned your spot of hosting the regional. Get rest right now till Thursday. That's a good time from Saturday to Thursday. Get in the tub, cold plunge, whatever, get in the sauna, hit the weight room like Jim Schlossnagle loves to do, get back to the fundamentals and get right for this postseason run. Because as A&M softball showed you, it don't matter. You could lose to anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like it's real out here. And A&M baseball, they giving you examples too. Like everyone could beat you. Anyone could beat you. So if you don't bring your A game, everything's not clicking, you could get embarrassed. I don't think this team has it in them, but also this is the time to get focused. I think they will be.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what Schlossnagle said. He said, we got to get the pitching roles figured out for the regional. And that's what he's all about. So I think we'll see how loose and comfortable Texas looks in their half of the bracket. They've got Vanderbilt, who's the number 4 seed. Georgia's the 5 seed in their half. Arkansas is in the other half as the 2 seed. LSU, who's now number 1 in D1 baseball's rankings. Texas is number 2. Those guys are in the other half of the SEC tournament bracket. So
LSU's a 3 seed in the SEC, but number 1 in the nation. It's crazy.
How about that?
That's nuts. This conference is ridiculous.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's a lot.
All right, let me ask you this, man, because this Will Gasparino thing, last week we didn't pay it no mind. When Jim Schlossnagle took him out, we were kind of like, okay, what was that about? Jim Schlossnagle said it wasn't a big deal. This weekend, he's not starting. He's pinch hitting. He starts on Friday, but he doesn't start on Sunday. When he is starting, they got him batting 8th. Like, what's going on now, Will Gasparino? Because it's a little weird to see at this point of the season.
Yeah. I got to be honest. I have not made the calls. Let me make a couple of let me send out a couple of texts.
Yeah, send out a couple of texts, man. Get in there with those reliable sources that you're so famous for. Wake them up, because your boy Zay needs to know. Will Gasparino, somebody on the Coda text line, which hit us up at 512-222-9328, said he's just really struggling at the plate, but everyone goes through a slump. He's one of your top dogs, has been the whole year, especially in the outfield. You know what I'm saying? Like, before Max Ballou went yard in the 9th inning, to close out the 8th inning, he had a nasty sliding catch. Like, it was pretty sick, Web Gym style. like I get the bat might not be there right now, but he covers a lot of ground in center field and one of your better outfielders. And when
Yeah.
that bat is hot, there's a reason why Will Gasparino is one of your top draft prospects on this team. Probably the number one draft prospect on this team, if you look at D1 baseball and their mock drafts and stuff. So for him, I don't know. For him to just be in and out of lineup, it's weird. It's really weird. And I get this team is deep and stuff, and you bring it back Max Ballou and Ethan Mendoza is now back playing second base. And shout out to Adrian Rodriguez. He quietly had a terrific weekend. It seemed like he was always on base, making things happen. We know he's been battling injury and stuff. So for him as a freshman to do what he's doing is very impressive. But yeah, what's CB saying? Like, Will Gasparino was like the best player in college baseball earlier this season.
I mean,
now in and out of the lineup. I just want it to make sense. I just make it make sense. Jim Schlossnagle, again, your SEC Coach of the Year. So I'm over here thinking, as a coach's son, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. You know way more than I do. So you clearly are seeing something that we're not. But anyone from the outside looking in that could see Will Gasparino's trajectory when it comes to his ability and his peak will be thinking like, isn't this guy really freaking good? Like, wouldn't you just go through the slump? Wouldn't you just let him ride it through? I don't know. It's interesting. It's just interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, they had Adrian Rodriguez in left field in game 3. And then Tommy Farmer was in center. Ballou was in right field. And yeah, it was odd. And then Gasparino came in late to replace Farmer.
Did he go Jack-a-Lando winning Tonda on us? Did he miss? Was he late to batting practice?
I'm checking.
Okay.
I'm checking.
It's just very odd.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean he's got 13 home runs. That's second on the team. He's got 47 RBI. He's, even though he's only batting 252, 247. That's come way down, obviously. But Jalen Flores is batting 252. Jalen Flores leads the team in RBI. Maybe they just, I don't know. There's no question he got pulled in the Florida series for not having the kind of effort that Jim Schlossnagle wanted on the base paths, and he sat him down. But I asked him about it after that game, and he said, no, he'll be back in the lineup against OU. And then
he lied to you.
Something else might have happened. There could have been a reaction to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
don't forget, Casey Borba screwed them over. But shout out to Casey Borba. He quietly had a good weekend too, especially going yard on Saturday. Casey Borba screwed my man Will Gasparino over in Arkansas series where they thought that was the third out or whatever the hell happened. And they got him with that double play, and Casey Borba forced Will Gasparino to start running and stuff. That ain't on him, man. But yeah, something else might have happened. I feel like something happened.
Yeah. Well, they got to get him right because he's got that bat. He's got that bat magic.
This is an interesting take by Roy because we're going back to the A&M series where Gavin Cash crashed out and lost his freaking mind at the dish in that sweep. When him and Will Gasparino had some words. I didn't think about that, Roy. Appreciate you, man. I didn't think about that. But that shouldn't, what could have that little, conversation lead to this? You swept A&M. You know, Jim Schlossnagle, more than anyone, should understand in that situation, things going to get a little tense. Things going to get a little fiery. Texas A&M, especially with everything that happened. So that's, I don't know. That's the first thing we talking about tomorrow. You're going to come back with those reliable sources of yours. You got to break down what's going on with number 8. 6'6" freak, man. He gained all that weight. They were comparing him to a young pre-steroid era McGuire earlier this year. I don't know what commentator said that. Commentator looked at that stats and said, yo, he looked like McGuire, 87. Oakland A's McGuire. He got that.
San Diego State McGuire.
Yeah, man. Before the juice. Lean, mean, tall, great swing, great power. We need that. You need Will Gasparino if you want to make a run in Omaha. You know what I'm saying? You need that. You need that type of power to change the game. One connection of the bat. That's all. You need that. You know? So, we'll see.
Yeah, man. Jim Schlossnagle, SEC Coach of the Year. And I would expect Dylan Valantis is going to be the SEC Freshman of the Year.
Yeah, it has to be. So I think LSU has a really good freshman too.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. They do.
He's not a pitcher. He's a position player. What's his name? I don't know his name. But, yeah, he's batting like 3-something. So.
Yeah. No, he's been great. I mean, think about what this team has been able to do, and you got to give some credit to Max Wiener because Texas has the number 5 ERA nationally. Last year, their ERA was number 47. It was almost at 5 runs a game. This year, it's 3.5 through 3.54. And guess what? Last year, A&M had the number 4 ERA at 3.86. And this year, they've dropped to 4.43. So Max Wiener knows what he's doing. He's added pitches to guys. He's told them we're going to lead the nation in fun. And he's just got them with the right mindset, coming out, attacking the strike zone.
You think he takes that Mississippi State job when the season's over?
I got to think he's up for a big job. And Mississippi State, that's a big job. Like, baseball is important to them. They invest in baseball more than they invest in, or more than some invest in baseball because of their tradition and history and ballpark. And that'd be something for Schloss to have 2 disciples coaching in the SEC. That'd be something. Because SEC's the big time. That's the big time.
Yeah, it's not like Mississippi State's had a horrible season either, but for their standards, coaches get fired for the season.
Well, and I think that coach had been a little adversarial with the athletic director, and so it got to a point of no return.
Oh, man.
But
can't be nice with the athletic director, man, all the time, especially if they BSing. Sometimes you got to let them know. Like, this ain't okay. We need to renovate some things out here. We need more folks in the stands. We need better batting practice area. Jim Schlossnagle trying to say the same thing down there at College Station. They were like, no, Jim, relax. We'll get to that. You're not a priority. Jim Schlossnagle said, what? I ain't a priority. Excuse me? Like, no, Jim, but we got to pay off Jimbo Fisher. So I don't care. Give me what I need. They're like, he just bluffing. All right. Now Jim Schlossnagle staying off of Lake Austin somewhere, living good, living great. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll get grass at the dish eventually, Roy. Clearly ain't that big of an issue. Your SEC champs, you know what I'm saying? The grass could wait a little bit. I think Jim's a little bit more patient here in the ATX than he was in College Station.
Well, he knows he's got a guy who will get some stuff done for him. And that's amazing, too. I mean, if we're going to talk about how Texas won the regular season SEC title, Jim Schlossnagle left a team that was this close to winning it all last year and was the favorite to win it all again this year. He left a loaded team to go to Texas, and it was because of his relationship with Chris Del Conte. He trusted the alignment and leadership at Texas more than he trusted the alignment and leadership at A&M. And so he was willing to leave a potential national title contender at A&M for the unknown at Texas. And kudos to Chris Del Conte for having the stones to go get him. And kudos to Jim Schlossnagle for knowing how to be a program builder, having a plan, executing his plan. You know, it involves bringing in that Kane performance, working on their mental approach to the game. Schloss takes pride in saying no one spends more money on the mental game than we do. And then he gets them in the weight room because he wants them big and strong. He wants them feeling, you know, big and strong at the plate, in the field. He wants them to be intimidating, getting off the bus. And guys put on 10 to 20 pounds of muscle. And they just have the right mindset, the right grit. And it helps to have a core group of veterans who are just dogs, like Max Ballou, Kimball Schuessler, Jalen Flores,
Rylan
Galvan. Hello. Yeah. And the pitchers, Max Grubbs, Luke Harrison, Dre Duplantier, those dudes have been the core leaders. And most all of them have been getting it done on the field. I mean, Dre Duplantier doesn't have a ton of appearances, but he's been good. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's the Udonis Haslam of the team. He'll come in when he can, do his best, but overall, the 6-year senior, he's that veteran mentorship that provides to this team as one of the leaders. And I appreciate that. Now, you talk about the mental game, Jim Schlossnagle's team. Is that what it is? Because we're speculating here. Is Will Gasparino missing therapy? It's like Will Gasparino missing those times where everybody's kumbaya and we got the sage out and we're deep breaths, y'all. Woosah. Like, is Will Gasparino not making those moments or making those, meetings? Is that what it is? Because something's off. I'm just trying to figure it out, y'all. Help me figure it out.
Well, the first 2 texts I got back are nothing to see here. So if it's just, trying to say, hey, no one's, I don't want to say entitled because, you could look at that situation and say, if anyone should think they're going to be in the lineup every game, it's Gasparino because he's a good center fielder and he can rake. But if he said something or did something that the rest of the team didn't feel like was up to their standard, and Schloss needed to remind them, hey, we're all out here grinding, then, but I bet Gasparino will be back in the lineup and be doing his thing here down the stretch because they need him.
Yeah.
They need him. They need that bat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, is his agent trying to go Nico Ilimaliava or something? Are they asking for a little bit more Skrilla here?
No, because he loves being in Texas. I mean, he wanted to.
What if USC come calling? Where he from?
He didn't want to stick around. He wanted to play in the SEC. He wanted to be up against the best. And so I don't think that's it.
Okay.
And he had opportunity after last season, but he likes Tulo. He likes Austin. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But everyone's saying nothing to see here. So, I know he's struggled some at the plate, but
it's okay. I like that. I'm glad that they told you nothing to see here. I want as much quiet as possible. You know what I'm saying? Even if things can become loud, like this situation, it's a loud situation. We have to talk about it. It's weird. It's weird that Will Gasparino all of a sudden at the end of the year where you're about to make this stretch run is not getting bumped anymore. That's odd. So, but I'm glad that's championship mindset right here. Hey, we're keeping it all in the dugout.
All in house.
All in house. Like, that's just how it goes sometimes. So hopefully Will Gasparino's sake, this doesn't hurt his toughness, mental toughness. Like, hopefully he could stay the course and understand that, hey, it's just a part of the game. I got to stay ready. I got to be ready. I got to prove to coach and the rest of my team that I'm still that reliable guy that we've seen most of the season. If he has that mindset, then things will come around. But here a lot of the times last year, didn't we talk about him always changing his batting stance?
Yeah.
Different things like that. And Troy Tulowitzki had to check him, be like, dog, chill. This is what works. We're going to stick with it. Even if you go through droughts, we're going to stick with the basics and we'll figure it out from there. Quit changing your swing. I don't know if he's doing that. I don't know what's going on. Again, we're speculating here, but odd. Very odd.
Well, Roy, this is Roy's put on the screen here. He's got a CDC greater than the lost odds. And I'll say, I think Chris Del Conte is going to go down as the best athletic director in Texas athletics history based on a few things. One, the coaching hires have been on point for sure. But overseeing $750 million in athletic renovations for a campus that had really fallen behind across the board, and Del Conte came in and made sure every sport got something. Swimming got a new outdoor pool. Track and field and soccer got new locker rooms and player lounges and a weight room. Baseball got an indoor facility. Softball got a better training facility. I think they want to do more when they renovate McCombs. But they have, better batting cages that are, indoor. They've got that outfield office space and stuff. So, tennis got a new facility, even though they screwed up the seating in it. That was before Del Conte got here. That was all Steve Patterson. And now, you look at the fact that NIL is here, getting those renovations done and now you're getting a football, new indoor football practice facility that will be ready in 26. The fact that they got all that athletic renovation done before NIL means that Texas is set up, because look, facilities are not getting done across the country like they were because of NIL. You're hitting your donors for NIL. Now, we don't know what post revenue sharing NIL is going to look like, but Texas just had they had their biggest fundraiser of the year over the weekend at DKR with Leonard Skinnard and all the athletes, and, trying to raise millions of dollars for NIL. And you had all the student athletes on hand, former, Vince Young, Cat Osterman, all the icons were out there, and Chris Del Conte, his ability to, connect with people, make them feel like they want to give, is a big deal. It's hard to find guys like that. And then for that guy to always have the right person in mind when a coaching hire needs to be made, and he moves in the dark, the searches are not dragged out. He goes in, he knows who he wants. Sean Miller, he knew who he wanted, he went and got him. Jim Schlossnagle knew who he wanted, went and got him. Vic Schaefer, Mike White, Edric Florial. These are huge hires. Steve Sarkisian. I mean, I think a lot of people saw that hire and was like, whoa, what's going on here? But he didn't, he waited, talked to him, heard some good things about Sarkisian, talked to him, found out he had a plan, a big time plan, and has executed his plan to a T. So I think, and I see CB saying, I don't think CDC has passed loss yet until football and baseball win national championships, but they're on the door. They're at the door. They're knocking. And obviously the first decade of the 2000s was the golden decade for Texas athletics. No doubt. Two baseball national championships, football national championship, played for another one. Both basketball teams went to the Final Four. Swimming kept winning. All that was glorious, and I get it. But I think where DeLoss was not keeping up was the athletic facility renovations. And Del Conte comes in, has to oversee a new basketball arena, which I'll give that one to Greg Fenves for getting that deal done where Texas didn't have to put down the money up front to build it. The Oakview group, big group of investors that involved Live Nation and Matthew McConaughey's in there. They're leasing it back to the university until they get paid off. And that's a 35-year agreement. That just doesn't happen. So the fact that these things are happening, it's a big deal, because you got to have it all. And it's hard to have it all. It's hard to have all the facilities and alignment and the coaching, and those coaches can recruit all the best players. And right now, it looks like Texas is in the best shape I've ever seen it in my 34 years on the beat. So I got to give it to Del Conte there. And I always say to Texas fans, enjoy this. Enjoy it. Enjoy this alignment, because it's hard to find. It's hard to get, They
thought CDC was going to go to SMU. Come on, man. Come on.
And he said, I don't need to ride no pony. I was like, hey, take it easy on the pony thing, you
I
know?
don't do ponies around here. By the way, the commentators in the OU series, they kept calling Texas Bevo.
Well, those were the OU guys.
Those were the OU guys?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the color analyst is a former OU baseball player. And so sometimes on that SEC Network Plus, remember the game where they had the Texas radio call?
Yeah, Craig Way, yeah.
As the play-by-play. So sometimes you don't know what you're getting on those broadcasts.
I dug it. It was different.
Yeah.
Bevo's cool. Like, Bevo's my favorite mascot ever. Obviously, very biased, but hell, Bevo.
You know what's crazy? And CB is right. USC did try to hire Del Conte a couple times since he's been at Texas. I think the one job Del Conte would have left for would have been as Pac-12 commissioner, because of his love for the Pac-12 and the fact that he worked at Washington State, worked at Arizona, and had that's where he grew up in the business. And I don't think they really made the right offer, made the right pitch. And I don't think he felt like they were, the school presidents were, dialed into the situation. So Texas dodged a bullet there. Because if he was the Pac-12 commissioner, I guarantee you that conference is still alive. Because that dude, he can talk people into seeing it his way without being a jerk like Larry Scott was. Larry Scott killed the Pac-12. Now, he almost
Larry.
Well, I know, and Larry went for it. Like, Larry tried to land Moby Dick. Like, he tried to, if he could have pulled the schools out of the Big 12 and formed the first super conference, he would have gone down as a legend.
He tried.
He hit
up Texas. Texas was like, no.
Yeah.
Texas was like, no, that's cool. We good.
We're good.
We're going to wait it out a little longer until something else comes up.
How was did you go out to the Mullet Open?
Yeah, it was nice. Great turnout. Shout out to Bucky Godbolt. Always for a great
Bucky.
My man Bucky, man, moving 1,000 miles per hour, doing his thing. Pops was there. He enjoyed his time. It was cool.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed it.
Nah, it's all good.
It's always a fun event. Great event. Where do you go, Buck?
Yeah. So,
well, what are your thoughts on the NBA?
Excitement. Like, gonna have a brand new champion, regardless of who wins. Final four teams that are in Western Conference Finals: Timberwolves, Oklahoma City.
How about our guy Caruso?
Yo, man, he might have.
That was the move of the game, the move of the series, to put him on Jokic and just be that hound dog.
Genius. I would have never thought of it. That was a genius move. When I first saw it, I was like, what is this? Like, how's this going to work? Because you wait to do it until Game 7. You don't allow David Allenman and the Nuggets to prepare for it because we haven't seen it for the first 6 games. So you would
think. It's not like Hartenstein had been bad. He'd been good at time. I mean, obviously, it went 7 games.
Yeah, you're not going to stop Nikola Jokic. That was one of the first things I said when we were discussing, this series before Game 1. You're not going to stop him. You just have to hope everyone else doesn't go crazy, like Murray and Porter and Gordon, Brown, the rest of those guys. So here in Game 7, you put 6'4" Caruso on him, on basically a 7-footer who has Caruso outweighed by 100 pounds. And Caruso probably one of the greatest defensive performances you're ever going to see in the association. I am not BSing you. That was one of the best defensive performances. Because, again, Caruso's outweighed, out height. It's just all will, all smarts, all toughness. Jokic was rattled, man. And Aaron Gordon, that hamstring, he looked awful yesterday. You know, Christian Brown, when he becomes your second best player, if you're the opposing team, you're in good shape. You're in good shape when that happens. And shout out to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That dude, he's had some games where you're like, dog, I don't know if you're that guy. You might be one of the best players in the league, but in the playoffs, I don't know if you're that dude. He proved yesterday that he could be that. That was a huge step for his game. That was a huge step for the Thunder organization, who's one of the youngest teams in the association. I thought J-Dub, Jalen Williams was terrific. Santa Clara, Jalen Williams, he was great. His defense, Cason Wallace, the Dallas area native, he was solid yesterday. Like, it just seemed like the Nuggets broke down. They were fatigued, and the Aaron Gordon thing really hurt them. Him hurting his hamstring, like, he's one of the best two-way players in the league, and he just couldn't move. You know, they were going at him. They tried to play a zone, which when you play a zone in the NBA, you're hiding something. There's something that you're at a disadvantage of when it comes to defense for you not to play man. So you try to play zone to negate whatever you're giving up defensively, and they were attacking that as easy as you could possibly attack a zone, getting alley-oops and stuff, and all those other guys for the Thunder, they stepped up, but Caruso won them that series for sure. I think he took all the Aggie juice yesterday. Like, any positivity that the Aggies could have had with that, you know, loss in softball, hopefully they could use that energy and look at Caruso and say, at least he's one of us. He's College Station native, went to A&M Consolidated High School, which that was the school built for all the professors who had kids back in the day. They all went to Consolidated High School. That's where Caruso went on to be an Aggie, made his way through the G League, and then finally stuck where people saw his value as a two-way player, defensive mind. My guy, Zach Urbanus, BTY, trains him every day, or trains him every summer here in Austin, Texas, where Caruso has a house, trains guys like Jared Allen and, you know, different players like that. And he says Caruso is one of those dudes that loves his golf, but loves the game and loves the grind of the game. And you can tell with the way that he plays every time he steps on the court. He's just one of those Derek Fisher, Robert Ory, you know, Dennis Johnson type of role players that you need for a championship team. And he's the reason why OKC is where they are. That was a huge move this offseason, going to get a guy the caliber like him, along with Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yeah. Yeah, OKC, man. I wasn't sure. And I'm probably not going to pick them to win against the T-Wolves.
Yeah.
But that was clutch. That was clutch. So I'm really looking forward to this T-Wolves Thunder series. I think it's gonna be
a good one.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be a real good one. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's cousin, Nikhil Alexander Walker, both Canadians, stuff like that. The defense is going to be very interesting because McDaniels, DiVincenzo, Alexander Walker, all of them are going to have their turns guarding Shai. On the other side, it's going to be a lot of Wallace, Lou Dort, Caruso guarding Anthony Edwards. So which one of those guys is going to have the upper hand when it comes to scoring? And then which Robin on the team is going to step up. We saw Julius Randle dominate that Warrior series. Can he do that to Chet Holmgren and those guys? Could you put Caruso on him a little bit at times? You know what I'm saying? It's a different matchup, but if Caruso could guard Nikola Jokic just for a little bit, he could guard anyone in the league for just a little bit. So the whole chess match between Chris Finch and Mark Daigneault, it's going to be good. It's going to be really good. And on the East side, that's a flip of the coin series too. That's what makes this playoffs and this conference final series so much fun, because I don't know who has the advantage for the Knicks or the Pacers. Both teams I could see winning it. Karl-Anthony Towns, Miles Turner is a hell of a matchup that I don't think a lot of people are really talking about. Like those guys, they're going to battle, and they're very similar in the, their type of game. Both can step out and shoot the three, stretch bigs, very versatile, solid defenders. It's obviously the Halliburton, Jalen Brunson, WWE matchup that everybody loves, because for some reason those guys were at a WWE event together, and there's a scene where they're like looking at each other and the crowd goes ballistic, and it's very WWE, that's for sure. But it's pretty cool now that they're meeting for the Eastern Conference Finals. And we know that Knicks-Pacers series, it's always been a rivalry going back to those Reggie Miller 90s days where he was holding up the choke sign to Spike Lee and them. So it's going to be good, man. Anunoby versus Siakam, Bridges versus Neesmith, those guys. It's going to be a really good series. Rick Carlisle, Tom Thibodeau, both of those dudes are very respected when it comes to coaching. Rick Carlisle, man, he's a good coach.
Siakam, he's been there, man. He's won a title.
True.
And he needs to be big. Halliburton obviously is the tip of the spear. Miles Turner, I'm rolling with the Pacers, man.
There we go.
I'm rolling with the Pacers against those Knickerbockers, but I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
And Karl-Anthony
matchup.
Huh?
Miles Turner if the Pacers want to advance, Miles Turner, I think, has to have a better series than Karl-Anthony Towns.
Yep. And I'll take it.
Yeah.
I think he will. So
I like it.
I think it's gonna be good.
Yo, you see the Knicks fans yelling out PJ Tucker at the Garden, the Game 6 game versus Celtics?
What was that about?
Oh, I was so badass, man. I was so badass. I almost shed a tear straight up. They were hollering, PJ Tucker, PJ Tucker. In the game at the Garden. PJ Tucker, I don't even think he started out with the Knicks at the beginning of the season. I think he just hopped on the team through free agency because the Knicks were like, yo, we need a vet that's going to come in and tell everybody how it is and not going to sugarcoat anything. That's won a championship before. He might not play at all, and he might be 2 years ago should have been a retired type of player, but let's bring him on our team. He'll give us some life some kind of way, whether it's practice, as a motivator. He's
played a total of 4 minutes in the playoffs.
All garbage minutes.
He only played in 3 games in the regular season. So he started the year he was with the Clippers last year.
Yeah, he started the year at the crib. That's where he started.
At the crib, yeah. They pulled him off the couch. I love it.
I love it, man. He deserves that. Like, he deserves to still be making a living with an NBA contract. Like, he's done enough. Like, he's well respected, hard nosed, coachable. Like, and he's for sure a Tom Thibodeau guy, if I've ever seen one. Like, he's one of those dudes where the coaches during the timeout are talking amongst themselves, and you got a player in the huddle giving everybody a speech. PJ Tucker's that guy to give the speech. Like, you need guys like that on the team.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're just another body where they're stealing money and you're thinking someone overseas should be taking that contract. And sometimes they actually bring some freaking value to the squad, even though they might not play. PJ Tucker's that guy. Like, he's perfect for the Knicks and that organization. I'm proud that they got him there, and I hope if he were to get another ring, I wouldn't be mad at it.
That was such a great recruiting find by Rick Barnes and his staff, because PJ, what do they list him at?
6'5".
6'5". And he's that kind of guy that can play anywhere on the floor. He can guard any position because he's that tough. He's that determined. And that dude, I loved covering him because it mattered. Everything mattered to him. And if you didn't give max effort, you were going to hear about it from PJ Tucker.
Yeah.
Like, he was that locker room dude who got the best out of everybody, in part because you were afraid he'd kick your ass.
Right.
Because that dude was ready to mix it up. And PJ's just, I loved covering him because, and that 06 team, they should have gone to the Final Four. But that was a fun team to watch because Tucker brought a lot of toughness to that team. And that team needed toughness.
Yeah.
There was some skill. There was skill on that team, but they needed some toughness because they got up there against Tyrus Thomas and Glenn Big Baby Davis, and LSU had some physical toughness. I think it intimidated LaMarcus Aldridge a little bit.
Yeah, you were freaking going against the felon, Glenn Big Baby Davis, who's still locked up as we speak. The dude was like 300 pounds, 6'6", but could move.
Oh my God. Did I tell you he jumped up on the
and almost messed your laptop up?
Oh yeah, he jumped up on the table right on top of me. Like, I had to pull my laptop off because he's literally standing on top of me with that feather boa, just cussing a blue streak.
Oh,
like,
he's
oh
probably
man,
spitting and saliva probably flying stuff. Ugh. God.
That was crazy.
Yeah, he was crazy as hell.
Yeah, he was crazy. That was John Brady. Shady Brady was the head coach of that LSU team. But
so frustrating. Like, all those guys. I mean, yeah, Big Baby Davis, he got a ring on that 08 Celtics team, but I would have gotten the ring with his role on that 08 Celtics team. You know what I'm saying? All he did was almost fight Kevin Garnett every day in practice. So if you almost fight
Kendrick Perkins was on that team.
Yeah. Perkins, Ray Allen, Eddie House, Paul Pierce. Like, that team was good. But come on, Big Baby. It was that team's one of the most entitled teams in NBA history. By far. I'm not saying, like, they earned the ring. Let me explain. They earned that ring. They beat Kobe and them. They earned that ring. Great team. The way that they underachieved afterwards, but they still like they use that '08 championship like it's just we're the greatest of all time. No one could have touched us. We have all this championship DNA, which they do. Like you got legends. Paul Pierce is a legend. Kevin Garnett's a legend. Ray Allen, before Steph Curry, is probably the greatest shooter of all time. Rajon Rondo is going to be a Hall of Famer with his 2 rings, one in another one in the bubble with the Lakers. For some reason, Doc Rivers is going to be a Hall of Fame coach. You know what I'm saying? Which I'm hating on Doc a little bit. Doc's had some really good moments. He's had some really solid coaching moments too. Got to give him credit. But also the way that team sticks their chest out to this day, just about being one of the greatest, yet underachieved incredibly, is always just, it's beyond me how nuts that is, how they do that. They're one of the only teams that does that. Like the 04 Pistons don't do that. Like the 04 Pistons, that was a more impressive championship to me than that 08 Celtics team. With the guys that they had and the coaching and the team that they played, like you had the Gary Payton and Malone on the Lakers with Kobe and Shaq. And you beat them in 5-game series. Are you serious? You end the Kobe and Shaq era? Completely end it. That's more impressive than what the 08 Celtics did. But you'll never know because the way the 08 Celtics showboat and the way they act and carry themselves compared to teams like 04. It's very weird.
Well, I'm looking at the 2 rosters like in 09.
For the Celtics?
Yeah, you still had everybody.
Yeah. Now, KG got hurt in 09. KG, I don't know what happened exactly. KG in the playoffs, he wasn't 100% because that 09, their 09 first-round series was one of the better first-round series against Chicago. Derrick Rose rookie year, that's one of the best first-round series ever, in my opinion. They went to 7. That was an incredible series. If Garnett was there, it probably wouldn't have went to 7. But that was when we really saw Derrick Rose as, holy crap, this dude could be the best player in the league at one point. Like, that was his coming out party, even though he was rookie of the year. The way him and Rondo were battling, oh, man, talk about nostalgic. That was good hoops right there.
The Celtics team had my guy, Tony Allen.
Then they got rid of him. Horrible move.
That dude is a defensive eraser.
Horrible move.
That dude, I remember Rick Barnes saying that dude he should be the Big 12 Player of the Year, hands down, because he is the hardest guy to have to deal with from when you're on offense and he's guarding you, he takes away your best player. Tony Allen.
Yeah, he's a legend.
That Oklahoma State team went to the Final Four with him.
Yeah. John Lucas II. Gosh, can't think of who else they had. They were good, though. They were a good team. Yes, yeah. Quad, I've started Celtic City, bro. I'm still on episode 1. It was, all that Red Auerbach talk. It starts to get to me because, it's good. And then I'm like, yo, ain't nobody going to talk about the mob in here? Ain't nobody going to talk about how terrifying it is to call a double dribble on Bob Cousy because my brother might get whacked. And all of a sudden, all of a sudden they're sending me they send the fish over to let you know somebody about to die in the mob. What was that? Godfather? Yeah, swim with the fishes.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they send the fish to the crib, all smelly and stuff, to let you know. Horses in your bed. Like,
All right, I'll start that too. I'll start that.
Oh, okay, bet, Quad. Okay, that makes me feel better. Just touch on it a little bit. I know they're not going to do red that bad because red means so much to the NBA. Like where the NBA is today, everybody owes a lot to Red Auerbach, even if he was a snake and was cheating and was running with the mob. I will admit that. Absolutely. Maybe him cheating and doing all that scary stuff with the mob, Tony Soprano in, is a big reason why we got to see Michael Jordan. I respect that. But also, man, like, I love my man Jerry West. God bless his soul. He never got close to championships. Ever. He had
Except when he built teams that won championships.
True.
Like the Golden State Warriors, like the Lakers.
Good front office guy.
Yeah, he could find players, man. All right, did you see Quinn Ewers at the rookie symposium?
He looks weird in that Miami blue, whatever the hell it is. Miami green, that teal. He looks so weird.
You think?
Yes. Yes.
Number 14?
Yeah, it looks weird, man. Because I know he wore green at South Lake Carroll, but that Dolphins green is different. He looks weird in it. Looks weird. Matthew Golden looks weird in his Green Bay Packers uniform too. It's just something that you got to get used to, I guess. But yeah, I saw him. Jaden Blue rocking 34. It's an interesting number for him. Like he couldn't get 23. I don't think 23 is retired.
Who was that? Tommy Agee, number 34 for the Cowboys?
Yeah.
Back in the day. Jaden Blue, man. Put your mark on it.
Rookie of the year. Call it out. Where's sticky note? Get your sticky note out. Put that up right now. Get the sticky note. Yeah, find that. Find that. Let's go. George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb. They're going to be locked in on them. Jaden Blue going for at least 1,100. At least.
All right, you want sticky note on that?
We want sticky note on that. Put that
Jaden
up.
Blue, rookie of the year.
Rookie of the year. Dallas winning the East. Yeah, let's go. Best offense in the league. Dak's back. George Pickens going crazy. CeeDee Lamb, calm, going crazy. Oh, yeah. Shotty going to have them rolling. Did you see Shotty at the golf event? Brian Schottenheimer, he was at the golf event with the players and stuff. Stephen Jones was there. Micah, CeeDee Lamb, they laughing, they kicking it, they having a good time. Just that camaraderie, man. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. You can see what they're building in Dallas. It's different. It's different what Big Mike had. Yeah, y'all see it. Chip's got the sticky note out. May 19th. Zay Collier says Jaden Blue, rookie of the year. Why not? Why not Jaden Blue? Why not? We gonna fix the fumbling.
Ashton Genty?
Nah, they gonna be sorry. They still gonna be sorry. Do you believe in Geno? You believe in Vegas Geno?
Well, I believe in Ashton Genty getting the rock a lot with Vegas Geno at quarterback.
Yeah, you can get the rock a lot. Don't mean you going nowhere.
All right. Genty was my favorite player in the draft, so
Who's your favorite player?
I'm sticking with him. He'll be my offensive rookie of the year, but I hope Jaden Blue lights it up.
Yo, it's time. It's time. A new team wins it in the NFC East anyway. Every year. Every year a new team wins it.
Yeah.
Why not the Cowboys this year? You know what I'm saying?
Jaden Daniels scares the crap out of me. That dude's just going to get better. And he already stripped my Lions of their soul in the playoffs last year.
That was a tough moment.
That was rough.
Have you recovered from that? Is that all? That's just.
I mean, it hurts still. Like when I think about it. But meanwhile, the Eagles, they're just stockpiling studs. Andrew Makuba. Damn.
Yeah. He's just going to straight up take C.J. Gardner-Johnson's job. C.J. Gardner-Johnson moved on to Houston. They picked up the perfect player for that role that C.J. Gardner-Johnson has last year, because that's a huge comparison, I think.
Like, this is a lot for me to say. But I think Makuba has a lot of Brian Branch in him.
That's not a lot that you said, no.
Because Brian Branch, to me, he's the next wave of great at safety. And I think Makuba's got that kind of DNA. So I'm happy for Makuba because he's on a championship team. And I hope he kills it. That defense is young.
Yeah.
My God, Jalen Carter, Cooper DeJean. They got, right up those guys are on rookie contracts. They're going to be good for the next few years.
Yeah. They got Zach Bond's bald self back again.
Right. Zach Bond.
That dude's so good.
That dude came out of nowhere and became a Pro Bowler. Howie Roseman finding dudes.
Yeah.
After Chip Kelly stuffed him in a broom closet.
Nick Sirianni, I think, got a contract extension today, too.
Sirianni?
Yep.
Well, I mean, he did win a Super Bowl. He's a weirdo.
He's kind of odd.
But he gets his players to go out there and get it done.
Speaking of Super Bowl,
he's got that Italian, emotional, hot-blooded nature. He reacts to things. Don't react. Don't react, Nick. Don't react.
Since he's Italian, he could just be a nut job and we not think anything of it.
Right. I mean, he's going after fans.
He's just Italian. It's okay.
I always say, man, don't swing down. Don't swing at anything that doesn't have as much to lose as you. Like, if you're wasting your time on things or people who don't have as much to lose as you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. You just ignore those people.
Yeah.
You walk right on by. They'll be like, huh? No, I saw him do a jersey swap with Howard, the Ohio State quarterback.
Oh, Will Howard?
Yeah.
In Pittsburgh?
Yeah. That was his first jersey swap.
Yeah.
And Will Howard. I thought that was interesting.
That's interesting. I mean, obviously Quinn will always have ties to Ohio State. I guess Quinn's beat Will Howard. Has Quinn beat Will Howard?
Well, he did in at K-State in 22.
But wasn't that AJ Martinez?
It was.
Yeah.
Howard was on the roster. And I said if Howard played in that game, I thought Texas would have trouble.
Chris Kleiman, what are you doing?
Huh?
Chris Kleiman, what are you doing?
Yeah. He went with and Adrian Martinez played good. He just fumbled. Right when he could least afford it. That was big Keandre Coburn. Swatting that ball loose. That was a big play.
Yeah, that was a good win. No.
That was to me, that was Sarkisian's best win up to that point. Till he beat Alabama.
Yeah.
Because things kind of flamed out at the end of that 2022 season.
Yeah. I don't like to think about those losing years. But hey, man.
Then, I mean, look, their 11-game road winning streak in true road games began with that win over K-State.
If they were to lose a road game this year, who would you think that would be to?
Well, I mean, they're not going to be favored against Ohio State, but I think they can beat Ohio State. So, I mean, Florida is going to be tough. And then you got to go to Athens.
Yep.
And Texas, like Kirby's got Sark's number at the moment. Now, Texas woulda, coulda, shoulda won the SEC championship game, but you know,
Burt was playing around.
Dude's false started and took a 37-yard field goal off the board, and then Burt missed the 42-yarder. And the game went to overtime.
Word on the street, Burt Auburn's hitting up South Beach every other night. That's just word on the street. You know, people talk. I don't know.
You are totally making that up. You're stirring the pot. Stirring that pot.
Hey,
well, Texas
over and under, Burt Auburn's been to South Beach at least 5 times already. Since signing.
Texas's new kicker is married.
I like that. Hell yeah.
He ain't going out. He's going home and cooking dinner.
Hell yeah. That's exactly what I want to hear. Stable. Responsible. That's exactly what I want to hear. He ain't trying to get all this loose nookie running around. That's dangerous. What? I could corrupt your mind as a young athlete. No, I need something stable. The food gonna be ready when I get home. I ain't gotta worry what I have to eat or nothing. All I gotta worry about is making kicks. That's what I'm talking about. Shout out to Mason Shipley. Good for you, bro. And Mason Shipley.
He married his high school sweetheart, Montana.
That's beautiful. I love that. You know we love here on Chip and Zay.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. That's exactly.
He married her after he got his scholarship from Texas State.
Wow.
He was having to work at Discount Tire and as an Amazon delivery driver, paying his own way. Almost gave up. In that 22 season, he's behind Seth Kellner and Jake Bates, who's now the Lions kicker. And the new special teams coach, Daniel DePrato, was like, hey, man, just see it through. See it through. You've waited this long now. The job is open. Bet on yourself. He did. Went 15 of 15 in 2023. Got that scholarship. Got married. He's an identical twin. And his identical twin brother, who got a scholarship right out of high school. It's crazy. Because if you look at their numbers out of Liberty Hill, because they split the duties, Mason actually had better numbers. And he punted. And his twin brother Matthew ended up punting at Hawaii. And then he transferred to Arkansas last year, hit a 44-yard field goal against Texas, Mason's twin brother Matthew. So, yeah, man, Matthew's already telling him, hey, man, the SEC, it is different than the Sun Belt.
That's the only thing that worries me.
Well, these guys are both so I don't think they feel anything. They're like in their own world. They're pretty even keel. So, yeah, man, Mason Shipley, check out the that I wrote at horns247.com came out last Thursday. It's the Mason Shipley story. I mean, I think it's a movie. Twin brothers, both kickers. Their older brother was a kicker, went to West Texas A&M. One twin gets the scholarship offer. The other one doesn't. He's working at Discount Tire. He's begging coaches to give him a chance. I mean, what would be the ultimate Hollywood ending? He kicks the game winner for a national championship.
I'll take that. If he does that, make a movie.
The guy who didn't get the scholarship offer out of high school.
Yeah, if he does that, make a movie out of him. And let that weird Timothy Chalamet, he could be him. He could be Mason Shipley because apparently Timothy Chalamet is blowing the hell up. It's crazy. I see him at Knicks games getting crazy love, and he was Willy Wonka. He was a famous musician in his last movie.
Bob Dylan.
There we go. The dude.
It was good. I watched it on a plane. Yeah, it's good. He did his job.
Okay. I like Timothy Chalamet. I think he's next up.
Yeah.
You know, better than what's his name? Nicolas Cage playing John Madden.
I mean, that's got so bad it's good overtones to it, but man, I don't think I'm gonna be going to the theater to see it. All right, let's get a couple mentions in here, get to the commentary, get to the chip shot, get to the right call on an Overreaction Monday. Hey, to my guys who are snoring, it's time to get to the Sleep Cycle Center. Our man, Dr. Chad, he's got you covered. I love the fact that Dr. Chad is the go-to on this because he started treating people for sleep apnea after sleep apnea killed his father. And he said, I don't want anyone to go through this. I want to be the one to help you identify it. And he's got the best technology to assess, diagnose, and then all the treatment options from oral appliances to surgery. And I've got an oral appliance. I call it my mouth guard, holds my lower jaw open while I sleep. Because if you're snoring at night, it's more than just annoying to the person sleeping next to you. It could be the sign of a serious health issue. So go to sleepcyclecenters.com and set up an appointment. Tell them Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you, and you're going to get $100 off your sleep study. I mean, it's like you can't afford not to do the sleep study. We're practically giving it to you. So just tell them Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you. You're going to get $100 off your sleep study. They got locations in Lakeway and at the Arboretum. You'll be so glad you did. And McCall Custom Homes. Look, if you're looking to renovate a bathroom, a kitchen, maybe some, extended outdoor space, you want someone who's going to be all about the details. Mike McCall, you go to McCallCustomHomesATX.com, set up an appointment, have Mike come out, share your vision for what you want to do. He's going to blend it, give you some ideas, give you a fair and reasonable price, and then oversee all the details. And that's what you want. You don't want someone who's going to be like, oh yeah, we'll do this, we'll do that. And then they send a crew and you never see the person again. That's not how McCall Custom Homes and Mike McCall operate. He wants you to get exactly what you want. He wants to add value to your house, but most importantly, wants you to be happy in the bathroom or in the kitchen that you've just renovated. Go to McCallCustomHomesATX.com. Tell them Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you. And it is Monday night. Cover 3, all night happy hour. Cover 3 Anderson, Cover 3 Round Rock, Cover 2 at 183 in Lake Creek. They got the $7 social hour menu. The firecracker shrimp are on that menu. I love the bacon deviled eggs on that menu, but Cover 3, great food, high-end food without the high-end prices. The Chop House Burger, Texas Monthly calls it one of the best in the state of Texas. You got the brick chicken and mac and cheese, the Sean Adams prime rib sandwich. Oh yeah, let's go. And Tom McKay, audiovisual consultations. How happy is Tom McKay right now? The Dallas Stars are in the Western Conference Finals. Come on, man. Their goaltender standing on his head. Tom McKay's a huge hockey fan, huge Dallas and Texas Stars fan. So am I. We got to get my guy, my man, Whitey, the GM of player personnel for the Dallas Stars, on the show. But AV consultations, look, if you're ready for the big screen of your dreams, just call 255-8678. Tom's going to bring you the best price on big screens. You don't need to be lugging TVs around town, punching holes in your drywall. Let Tom and his crew bring everything to you. You just call 255-8678 and boom. Next thing you know, the big screen, the surround sound. You need surveillance, electronic shades, new lighting. Got you covered. avconsultations.com, but just call 512-255-8678. All right, Zay. For the chip shot today, I got to say, this one's a little personal because just got back from my son's college graduation, and you find yourself reflecting on the whole life of your child in those situations. And it's, you tell your kids to savor every minute. There's a reason they call college the best years of your life. You're never going to be around that many people your age again. So you got this incredible melting pot of 18 to 22-year-olds from different backgrounds, different interests. You hopefully use that opportunity to not just learn in the classroom, but learn outside the classroom, experience new things. And I'm super proud of Tiger because, look, his mother and I were divorced. It wasn't great. And he had to come through that at a tough age. And he's just become his own man. I told him when he left for college, I said, listen, go have fun, but you're running the Tiger Brown Corporation. You're making decisions for the Tiger Brown Corporation starting now. And so build your corporation. Don't burn it to the ground. And he did, and he has. And I'm super proud of him. He needed to get away. I wasn't overjoyed about paying out-of-state tuition, but he needed to get away. He needed to go do his own thing. And Fort Collins, Colorado, I'll never forget. He got into Colorado Boulder. And I was like, why aren't you going to Boulder? And he's like, because that's where all the spoiled rich kids like SMU go. I was like, ouch. But he was right. If you go to Fort Collins, Colorado State, it's like this movie set. It's this beautiful college town with the mountains, off in the background. And they still have diagonal parking on the streets. And it's just a great college town. And of course, if you love outdoors, they got it all. There's Horsetooth Reservoir for, boating and all that stuff, and hammocking. Kids like to hammock out there, go sit on a hillside with a beautiful view and do your homework or whatever. And so it was a great experience, and just happy for him. And kudos to all the, families who have graduates, whether they're high school graduates or college graduates. These are big moments in time for your kids, and you just want to see them grow and be able to operate on their own and go try to chase their dreams. So, yeah, I was I was proud pops this weekend. Okay, now I wouldn't say Fort Collins is blue collar. Like the real estate there is as expensive as Austin. It's nice, but Boulder is bougie. It is straight out bougie. They have a sugar tax in Boulder, Colorado.
What?
Yeah. Like, there's tobacco tax, which everyone understands. But there's like a sugar tax in Boulder. So if you buy anything with sugar, which is everything, you pay a little extra. But yeah.
No,
yeah, and okay, the mentality. Okay, he meant the mentality. Yeah, because Colorado State is it's the agriculture. It used to be Colorado A&M, I think. And then it became Colorado State.
Good move. Great move. That sounds better.
Yeah.
Colorado A&M sounds horrible. But
yeah.
Shout out to Tiger, man. Yeah, saw the pictures of the family and stuff. Looked like a lovely graduation. Tiger with his glass of wine and stuff, celebrating. Maybe that was champagne. I don't know. Could have been a little bubbly.
Yeah, it was a little champagne glass.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, enjoy it. You
appreciate
too,
that.
Congrats to you, because that's a big deal, putting the kid through stuff.
All right, let's get to the right call.
Let's get it. Shout out to our amazing sponsors like Leaf Landscape Supply, full service wholesale and retail plant nursery and landscape supplier here in Austin, Texas. The original South location is spectacular off of 290 and Monterey Oaks. And they have another location up north off of Pond Springs Road. Whether it's trendy house plants, collection of specialty plants, and rare plants, Leaf Landscape Supply is your one-stop shop for everything you need when it comes to large quantities of supplies to fulfill any landscaping job. So check out their website at leaflandscapesupply.com. They have online ordering there where you can get different tools and different fruit and soil and everything in between. Leaf Landscape Supply is the best. When you go in and you make a purchase, let them know you heard from the crew at TSU and you get 10% off. Can't beat that. 10% off at Leaf Landscape Supply. And Covert Bee Cave, Covert Automotive Dealership that have been doing it in the greater Austin area for over 100 years. Wifey and I are Covert Bee Cave people, and we love our Buick Encore GT, new pre-owned. It doesn't matter. You can get both when you're there. 7 terrific brands to choose from: Buick, GMC, Ram, Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, and Cadillac. Go to covertbcave.com to see all the latest specials and inventory. Nobody beats a Covert deal. Not now, not ever. All right, Chip. Well, in the midst of all this craziness when it comes to sports out here, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, football never stops here at Texas Sports Unfiltered. The WNBA is back, and it is popping already. And we almost had a fight between two of the household names in the dub. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. The rivalry continues. I'm going to show the video of what happened.
Angel flopping.
Ain't no flopping, man. Check out the video. Now, it's from the stands, BK, so we ain't going to get in trouble. We got bootleg, so we can't get in trouble here. But Caitlin Clark fouled Angel Reese. Somehow it was a flagrant. Angel Reese kind of lost it and told Caitlin Clark, what the hell is wrong with you? And they had to hold her back. Y'all check it out for yourselves and give y'all's opinions on it.
I like the big sister from Caitlin Clark's team who came over and got in the way of Angel Reese, because we know Angel thinks she can beat the crap out of Caitlin, but that other girl, Angel might have a little tougher time with. But if you see it from one angle, she pulled her arms down so that she couldn't score.
Yeah.
And then Angel spun out and flopped. Like, the worst flop you've ever seen.
She didn't flop. Was it?
Oh, flop everywhere, flopping like a fish on a boat deck. It
was a hard foul. I'm not gonna lie.
She grabbed her arms, held him down, but she didn't shove her.
She didn't shove her, but it was a hard foul. It was a playoff foul during the regular season. I don't think Angel Reese should have gotten upset. I will say that. I don't think she flopped, but also, Angel, you can't get upset at that, because if you see before the Caitlin Clark foul, Angel Reese does push off on somebody to get the ball.
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark like, where the hell's the push?
Right.
Caitlin then goes and then she fouls. All right, let's take a look at the video again. We're not going to see that first part, but we can see the foul and see if you're talking about Angel flopping is happening.
That angle does not show how much of a flop it was. But yeah, Angel pushed some other girl out of the way just a split second before all that. And you're right. Caitlin Clark looked at the ref and was like, hey, that was a foul. And then she had to go hold her arms down so she doesn't score a freebie. She put her at the line. I don't know if Angel made the free throws or not.
Yeah, I don't know if she made the free throws either. But okay, so Robert Griffin III's been getting fired up on Twitter. They've been lighting my man RG3's ass up. I've been seeing a lot of Rob Parker memes above his post, because we know what Rob Parker said about RG3 that cost him his job when he called my man Robert Griffin III cornball brother. I always love your reaction when we bring up this story, because
I love
laugh at it.
I kind of love Rob Parker too.
Oh, I like him too. I like RG3 also, man.
Yeah, RG3 he's okay.
Yeah, Corpus Cove legend. But RG3 was like, this is a hate thing. Angel Reese clearly hates Caitlin Clark. This is why she reacted this way. Like, it's a beef between them. Caitlin could care less, while Angel Reese out here has a problem. That might be true, but also we don't fully know. It's just, this has been a rivalry for a while, going back to the LSU Iowa days. So anytime they get in some type of heat, it looks personal. It does.
It does.
And I do see why RG3 said that, because, again, Angel, you shouldn't have reacted that way. I don't know. It was just a hard foul. You might have been losing, so she reacted like that. But, yeah, I have no problem with what Caitlin Clark did. Caitlin Clark's a ball player. That was a basketball play. It happens. It happens. So I wish, love Angel Reese, though, man. I don't like this Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark thing. I think Caitlin Clark's in a whole nother stratosphere, generational talent, and I think Angel Reese is going to be a perennial all-star and could be a future Hall of Famer. I don't know if she could have like a Lisa Leslie type career, but Angel Reese is going to get better. We're always going to compare the two ever since Angel Reese did the ring thing in Caitlin Clark's face when they won that national championship for Kim Mulkey and them down there at LSU. Like, they're always going to tie these two together. But, yeah, that was petty. That was a petty move. I love it. I love it. More of that.
That adds to the rivalry. It adds to the viewership. There's a reason they had that game on TV. Featured showcase game because of that rivalry.
Yeah,
so
somebody made a comparison. This is like Michael Jordan getting mad at Rudy Gobert. Come on, man. Let's not be that disrespectful. Like, it ain't like that. Like, Angels with hoop.
Who's Rudy Gobert?
You know who Rudy Gobert is.
No, I mean Angel?
Yes.
Okay.
It's like Michael Jordan and Rudy Gobert, which it ain't that bad. It's a little bit of a rivalry, but Caitlin Clark, she's that girl. I can't even lie. She can ball. It's just, I wish Angel Reese would have reacted in a different way. That's all. All right. here's another crazy story. So New York fans are probably the worst type of fans. That might be the only downfall of the Knicks having success right now, is that people from the state of New York City are losing their minds to where it's getting dangerous out here. And after the Knicks clinched the series in Game 6 against the Celtics, outside of the Garden, things got a little spicy for a man who I think probably on the wrong side of, well, definitely on the wrong side of it, but he could have worn a different jersey. He's wearing a Tyrese Halliburton jersey in the midst of Knicks fans, and this is what happened to him.
Nah! Oh! Nah! Oh! Yeah!
Awful. No good. Horrible. Just completely abused the man rocking the Halliburton jersey. I think it's probably very dangerous to wear any jersey of an opposing team in Knicks territory, just because those fans just have lost their mind. But that guy that you saw getting hit with trash and all types of stuff, Tyrese Halliburton is giving him tickets to Game 1, and he's going to let him go backstage and have access to see the team and stuff. So shout out to Tyrese Halliburton, reaching out to the man who was harassed by Knicks fans and making sure that he's going to have a good time at the game Wednesday night. Yeah, I think that series starts Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday night. So I don't know. Maybe this was a part of that guy's plan. Like, if somebody hurts me, I get to press charges. But I'm going to go in the crowd rocking this Pacers jersey. I know I'm going to get harassed. Hopefully somebody catches it on film, and I then get to enjoy the fruits of my labor by everybody feeling sorry for me. And now Tyrese Halliburton's one of those guys. And look, this guy's going to the Knicks game, and he gets to have backstage access with the Indiana Pacers.
So was that right after the Knicks clinched over the Celtics?
Yeah.
And that guy's just walking around?
Just roaming the streets of Manhattan, which is just, I feel like there's better decisions that you can make there, but also if you're trying to get tickets or something and have people feel sorry for you and you're the victim, all right, I'll have some trash thrown at my head a little bit. That ticket's ridiculous, by the way. That ticket's going for like $700, and we're talking nosebleed. We're not talking about where Timothy Charlemagne and Tracy Morgan and all them be sitting. Like
Spike Lee?
Yeah, we're not talking about them seats. So it's a hot ticket, but yeah, good for Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
He can take his daddy's tickets. That's probably what he did. He was like, my pop's tickets that won't be used for obvious reasons because he's banned. You can have those.
That's perfect.
Which bring back Halliburton's dad, man. In this series, we need some ignorance.
Well, didn't the ban, that was just for that one series, right?
I don't know. For some reason, I think that's the whole playoffs. I hope it's not. Like, I don't,
He just needs to sit up in a suite or something.
Yeah, just put him in a suite.
Can't have him on the court side acting a fool, walking up to the Greek freak like he's about to challenge him to a fight.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring in the open gym. Patrick and Matt, what's up, fellas?
What's up?
Man, what's going on, man? You can put him up in a suite, but it didn't stop Patrick Mahomes' dad. He's still trying to get on the field.
That dude. I haven't seen him in a while. They've kept him pretty tame.
Well, after he got arrested again, but he got drunk in the suite and then came down on the field after the game. Like he just took the best of both worlds. It was like, I'm still going to cause problems, but I'm going to get the free drinks up in the suite too. I'm going to get both things going for me.
Mickey Mahomes, this is teaser for tomorrow. I gotta show you Brittany Mahomes tomorrow, Chip.
Oh, there it is.
You.
We'll have that for tomorrow. See you tomorrow.
See you, fellas.
See y'all later.
I have no idea what Zay's talking about, by the way, but I'm sure I'll figure it out later.
We'll see it tomorrow. Welcome into Open Gym here on Texas Sports Unfiltered. My name is Patrick Davis. Alongside me is Matt Galatzan from Texas Longhorns on SI as we get into another week here on Open Gym. Matt, I hope you had a good weekend.
Yeah, it was great. Nice and relaxing. Nothing crazy happened, but that's kind of weekend I needed, Patrick. Just a nice, relaxing, nothing crazy weekend. Nice and recharged and ready to go for a big week of Open Gym.
That's good. That's good. I did not do that, but I feel okay now. I went out and my buddy rented a house out in Seguin for his 40th birthday, and we were out there. And then the first night we were having a good old time hanging out all night, and then the kids woke up at 6 a.m. running through the halls of this small home where we're all trying to sleep and run around screaming, and you're just like, I did never want kids in my life. not even a little bit of me wants kids when you have those kids running around. Longhorn Bear. Yeah, we saw Fred Warner's just got paid. We saw Brock Purdy just got paid on Friday right before our show. So apparently, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are getting work done right before Open Gym. So they're getting all their work done to tune in every day. Clearly, it's the only explanation.
Yeah, they really want to tune in from 4 to 6 Monday through Friday and listen to Patrick Davis and Matt Galatzan spit sports knowledge. So they're getting all their stuff done and signing these big contracts. I love the Fred Warner one, by the way. I think he's like arguably the best linebacker in football. I can't think of one better at the moment off the top of my head. Can you?
No, I mean he's at the top. If he's one of those guys that if he's not the best, he's right there at it.
Yeah. Especially inside linebacker. Like you can make an argument for some outside edge rusher guys, but as far as inside linebackers go, Fred Warner's definitely at the top of the list.
But a lot have been paid out there for the San Francisco because they just paid Brock Purdy 5 years, $265 million. They paid George Kittle 4 years, $76 million, and now Fred Warner 3 years, $63 million. It's a lot of money they're handing out this offseason. This was the one where we thought they were going to try and do all this cap management and get rid of stuff. It tells you why Debo's gone. But, it's wonderful what you can do when you know how to work the cap, unlike some other teams who don't want to work the cap and just continually complain that there's no way you can make these moves or sign these contracts. It's just impossible to do. And then you watch a team like the Eagles or a team like the 49ers consistently spend more money. And you're like, oh, you can do it. But some teams don't want to. I'm not saying who that is, but some teams don't want to spend the money.
Yeah, the team that Chase Daniel thinks is no longer America's team.
Yeah, the team that Chase Daniel, the voice of reason on here, the guy who played for the Chiefs, and then now saying it's like that was always if you missed that, Chase Daniel basically was coming out and saying the Chiefs were the new America's team. But the problem was the Cowboys are also playing on the dates that he was claiming that the Chiefs now were America's team because they were playing on. The Cowboys are there too. And the Cowboys suck and are still there. Like, that's really America's team. It's garbage, but you can't tune out. That's really that's more of it than like, well, yeah, they're gonna put on the team that lost one game last year. Is constantly in the Super Bowl. I bet that team's gonna get on.
Yeah, and then when that team, when Travis Kelce retires and Taylor Swift isn't on the broadcast anymore, and Patrick Mahomes gets to be a little older, and that team starts to kind of decline, I'm pretty sure you're not going to see the Chiefs up on Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day and all that stuff. Whereas the Cowboys, if they go 5-12, will still be playing on those days. So,
well, I mean, now they got George Pickens now, so straight to the top. Definitely straight to the top for these guys. It was a good weekend for Texas sports. Texas baseball gets a series win, even with their Saturday weather delay game at one of the worst points I've ever seen a weather delay. And the bases loaded, 2 outs, and a 3-2 count. Got to stop the game, you guys. And that was like, just come on, throw the pitch. just throw the pitch. Let's see what happens, and then we'll do it. But weather delay for that. That was ridiculous. But we got through all that. It's also why you don't want to live in Oklahoma, because you get weather delays like that. But we get to see a win there. Texas heads off to the SEC tournament. Games starting the SEC tournament on Tuesday. Texas plays their first game on Thursday. So we'll see that. Texas women in their advance to the Super Regional for the softball team. So good to see that as well. Lots of winning going on campus. NBA playoffs continued as well. And it was a kind of a sad game 7 on Sunday. It felt like it was going to be a lot of fun for the first 10 minutes of the game, because Denver came out and was like, we're coming to play. And you know that Oklahoma City was going to fight back in it, but Oklahoma City fought back, and it was just too much. Aaron Gordon playing with a grade 2 hamstring strain, showing a lot of heart going out there. I mean, he played 25 minutes in the game, had 11 rebounds. Like, getting 11 rebounds with a hamstring strain is just, it's ridiculous in NBA. Playing against big guys, faster guys, younger guys than you. A ton of heart there. Michael Porter Jr. also injured trying to play through it, and it just became too much, especially when Jamal Murray didn't have it going in that game. It all kind of crumbled down when they were able to stop Jamal Murray, because then it was just on Jokic, and they could basically just go over and get the ball out of his hands every time. So he was passing off to guys. No one else was coming up to help him out enough. And we did see Denver get eliminated. And it really did. It felt like this was, a team that maybe if they had a coach that was able to prepare them for a longer series and not have to play everybody 40-something minutes a game to try and get through. And that's partially on Calvin Booth, too, not getting a roster deep enough to really have players come in and do it, that they had to have a better shot. But at the end of the day, it all just came back to roost for the Denver Nuggets, and they get eliminated.
Yeah, and then, we kind of anticipated that this might be the case on, at the end of last week, when you kind of look at the way that the series has gone. It's Oklahoma City wins, and then Nuggets fight back, and then Oklahoma City wins, and then Nuggets fight back, and then, Nuggets won Game 6, and Oklahoma City came back, and the trend continued and won that game. I mean, when Jamal Murray scores 13 points on 16 shots and goes 1 of 8 from 3, Denver's not really going to have a shot. So it's unfortunate. I would have loved to see Jokic and Jamal Murray against Anthony Edwards in the conference finals, but it is what it is. It should still be a fun series, just not the cinematic, boisterous series that we might have gotten otherwise. But it's starting to look like the Knicks are going to be the NBA's favorite team here in the playoffs. I would expect them to get a few calls here and there, that maybe Indiana doesn't get, and then same in the finals if they make it there. But we'll see. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, because the New York came in, and that was the, if you're a Celtics fan, had to be the most depressing exit, because you played with all that heart, and it really, that was it, guys. That was our last ditch. They found out afterwards. They said afterwards that Jaylen Brown's been dealing with a slight meniscus tear, so he was playing through pain. He had another decent game, putting up 20 points in the game, but he took him 20 shots to do it. Just no one really got going. We knew Derek White wasn't going to be that guy again. 3 of 11, 2 for 8 from 3. They do end up shooting 43s again in that game, because that's the Celtics. And this is now where you're a Celtics team that really has to look at themselves in the mirror, that Jason Tatum will at least miss probably at least half of next year, if not more. You're way over the cap. You have new ownership too, so we don't know if they're necessarily on the bandwagon of, we want to pay a ton of money and try and keep competing for championships, or let's just get rid of someone and we'll still be a playoff team. It's the East. The East sucks. We can be a playoff team with half of this roster and half of the salary. We can still be a playoff team. So why don't we try and get rid of some of these guys and move on? That's going to be a really weird offseason for the Celtics, because they had no power at the end of it. You have Kristaps Porzingis, who disappeared, and we don't know what but it's the viral illness that was there.
Yeah.
That no one really knows that this is a thing since March. that he's been dealing with, and somehow he has continued to play, but he can't play long minutes. And the theory is that it's long COVID, but I haven't seen that confirmed. But the theory is that it's long COVID, and so basically he just doesn't have the lung capacity to play basketball long. And you go, well, how long does that last? Is that gone by next season? Is there treatment that they can do, or is that just he's going to have it for a while, and maybe at some point it goes away? Do you try and ditch his salary when it's at an all-time low? Jaylen Brown, do you get rid of a guy that means so much to your franchise and really didn't play great? He had one really, really good game after Jason Tatum left, but he didn't play great basketball. He wasn't the same guy who won the NBA Finals MVP a year ago. So do you try and move off of that contract now and then say when Jason Tatum comes back, and now we know also that the draft lottery, you don't have to really tank to get a pick. You can just miss the playoffs and get a good pick because of the way the lottery is. So why don't we just not play Tatum for a year, trade off some guys, keep Derek White, keep a couple of these guys that we really like, keep Peyton Pritchard, keep some of those guys, and then we'll go ahead and throw out, and then we'll just say, in a year, we'll hopefully get another big pick, and then we'll be able to go out and compete again and maybe bring in some other people. But it's going to be a really bad offseason for Celtics fans, I presume. Now, they may stay status quo because, in all honesty, you could miss Jason Tatum for half a season with this roster and still be a top 4 seed probably in the East. So, if he's able to come back and be himself by the playoffs, you still have a shot to go make a run. We saw this year that, being the 1 and 2 seed doesn't guarantee you really anything. OKC was able to get the win, but, Cleveland's been knocked out. Boston's been knocked out. A lot of the top seeds in the West have been knocked out. Houston's out. They were the 2 seed in the West. So you're just seeing a lot of top seeds get knocked out already in this playoffs. If you're the Celtics, a lot of decisions to make this offseason after just getting routed by the Knicks on Friday night.
Yeah, I would expect them to make some changes. Brian Windhorst teased that earlier in the series after Jason Tatum, or before even Jason Tatum went down, because they were struggling. So it's certainly possible. Honestly, if I'm Boston, I tear the whole thing down and start over. Try to build things around Jason Tatum again while he's recovering. See if you can make a quick turnaround. Make some trades, maybe free up some cap space. The NBA draft lottery is rigged, so they'll probably get the number 1 pick next year. But seriously, I would expect them to make some serious changes. Joe Mazzulla didn't really do anything in this series either to kind of separate himself from, as an elite coach, because he didn't make any changes. He tried to approach the game the same way without the best player in the Eastern Conference, arguably. And, that's what happened. That's why what happened. They lost by 28 points, or was it 38 points? I guess they lost by 38 points.
Yeah.
So
it was 119 to 81.
Yeah. So it's kind of inexcusable to me. You got to go back to the drawing board and start over. Move on from Porzingis. Try and trade Jaylen Brown. Maybe move off a couple of these other guys and just kind of recalibrate your team and see what you can do next year. But it's going to be real hard to do that with Jason Tatum, conceivably not being back until perhaps after the All-Star break, even whenever that comes around. Is he even the same player? It's really hard to come back from an Achilles tear in basketball just because that's such a critical component of your explosiveness and your ability to move around. It's unfortunate that, the series had to end this way, as we kind of talked about last week. You hate to see it happen this way because of injuries, but it is what it is. Boston had a great run. They won a title, and now it's probably time to start over.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could stick with it for one more year and see what comes out of it, because it is – I mean, there is the repeater tax, so they may just say, screw it, we're not paying the money because it is new ownership, so I don't know what they want to do. Kind of the old ownership spent a lot of money to get the value of the sale up because they understood a winning team sells for higher than a losing team. So they went ahead and got him up, won a title, and was like, perfect time to sell this team. So they went ahead and moved on. But yeah, I understand both these theories on what you should do, because because really, if you're trying to rebuild and trade guys off, you're not getting anything for any of these guys that's going to help you long term, most likely, because the people who are trying to get them are, whoever wants Jaylen Brown is not going to give you the best pieces to get him, and whoever wants Kristaps Porzingis is not giving you crap really. So maybe you can get some draft picks and hope that they work out again. But it does seem like it's just really hard to try and do with one of those 1 or 2 year turnarounds. But we saw the Warriors do it not that long ago, and I think that's kind of what the model they may look at when Steph missed a year. And they ended up getting Kuminga and Moody and had some picks in there, and they got some players and kind of just retooled the team a little bit in that offseason and I think that's somewhat what you could see this Celtics team try and put together is they say, we saw the Warriors do it and they retooled. Now it's done under a different CBA salary cap, but at the same part, they did it. So maybe we can take that 1 year off and then come back stronger than ever. And that's where I think they may be trying to aim. But at the end of the day, we'll end up seeing what happens with that. But going on now.
I got a little bit of breaking news on Open Gym if we want to jump into it.
Go for it, yeah.
Yeah, Matthew Golden just signed his rookie contract.
Yay, good for Matthew Golden.
Matthew Golden signs a 4-year, $17.58 million contract, fully guaranteed with the Packers. So good for him.
There you go. Good for Matthew Golden. Appreciate that for Matthew Golden. But yeah, getting back to the NBA playoffs, the Pacers and the Knicks, they are going to be now facing off. We just heard Zay talking about how awful the Knicks fans have been. It seems like it's only going to get worse. It's going to be a really volatile series from a fan standpoint for sure, because those Knicks fans are going to travel to Indiana. I remember when the Spurs played the Knicks in the finals in '99. There was Knicks fans flying down to San Antonio because they were doing it in the Alamo Dome. So there was, tons of tickets. Like they would put like 45,000 people in there for a basketball game. And it was cheaper. Tickets are always cheaper in San Antonio. And so I talked to somebody when I was at one of those games, and they were like, it was cheaper to fly from New York to San Antonio, get a hotel room for like 3 or 4 days, buy tickets to both the games that were there and fly back to New York than to go to one New York game.
That's wild.
It was just, that's how much the price, it was something ridiculous. And they may have been lying or, expounding on it, whatever it was, but they were like, it's just insanely cheaper here in San Antonio than it is in New York to try and get seats and do all that stuff. So I was like, all right. And I think that's probably somewhat true in Indianapolis as well. And it's a little bit closer too. So I could see them trying to, take the train or take the bus or take whatever to go to Indianapolis and hang out for a few days and go to those games. So you'll see New York fans there in Indy. It's going to be a really fun matchup. Tyrese Halliburton versus Jalen Brunson is going to be a ton of fun. Then you get the matchups across the board, like Pascal Siakam going against OG Anunoby. Both those guys, former Raptors, that got traded off. So that'll be a fun one if you see those guys go against each other. Mikal Bridges getting in there. Once you get in the post, Miles Turner and Karl Anthony Towns should be a fun matchup. It's overall going to be a lot of fun to watch these two teams go at it. And then we've also got the Thunder and the Timberwolves. I'm just looking forward to it between the Thunder and the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards just trying to show up shy is going to be a blast as well. Anytime you get to see that, because Shai is maybe going to win MVP this year, but Anthony Edwards just feels like a much more fun to watch basketball player. And if he can show up and play 4 quarters, then the Timberwolves got a shot in that series as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Anthony Edwards talking a bunch of smack every time Shai tries to go flop and get a free throw too. So that'll be a lot of fun. But I find myself much more interested in the New York Indiana series just because of the matchups. Specifically the Halliburton Brunson matchup, I think is going to be so much fun. I love, like, in football, like, I'm a quarterback guy. In basketball, I'm a point guard guy. So I love watching those point guard matchups. And that's one of the best that we've had this entire postseason. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I would have loved to see Shai go up against Steph Curry. Obviously we couldn't get that, but yeah, I mean, it should be a lot of fun. I wonder how much they're going to show Spike Lee on TV. I wonder if I can bet on that via some offshore book or something, all the prop bets and all that stuff. But it should be, both of them should be fun. I feel like the New York Indiana series is going to be a lot more entertaining just because I think that both of those teams play a little bit more exciting of a brand of basketball than Oklahoma City does. But we'll see. I hope they're both good series. I hope they both go 7 games and then we get an interesting finals. That's really all I can hope for at this point.
I mean, that's what we always hope for, isn't it? Is
Mhm.
trying to get those interesting games. So I'm with you. I think that's really going to be the series. I don't know. 'Cause I think that series is going to be just a ton of fun to watch. Two teams trying to be fast paced, a really good matchup of 2 stars, play the same position. And I get you kind of get that in the Western Conference between Anthony Edwards and SGA. But the problem is SGA is just not the most entertaining player to watch. He's really good at what he does, but it's kind of like James Harden to me. And James Harden was never the most entertaining player to me. James Harden was always really good, but he was really trying to get to his spot and get his shot. And, if it's not your team, it's not as fun. I get Tim Duncan was the same way. And, me watching Tim Duncan, I loved it because it was my guy. And so I could enjoy it. When it's not your guy and you're just like, all right, that's good. That's really good. You got to your spot. You got there. And then, but yeah, he's trying to get foul and contact every single time. And, he gets a call maybe half the time in the playoffs, but he tries for it every single time. So he's trying to get in drive and get that contact. Just not going to push me is, not ever going to be as much fun. But both those games, looking forward to it. I believe we get game 1 tomorrow night is our first game of the playoffs. No games tonight. If I remember correctly, as I look at that, we get the first game of the Western Conference Finals Tuesday. Eastern Conference Finals starts on Wednesday. So we'll no basketball tonight. So we'll have more time to get into it tomorrow. But ready for our conference finals. And yes, you're right, Matt. The NBA is 100% invested in the New York Knicks right now. That's a story. Because like Pacers Thunders has to be their nightmare, right?
I would assume it is probably their nightmare. Those are 2 of the smallest markets in the NBA. So they want to have that big Apple finals versus probably an entertaining superstar. Anthony Edwards is what I assume that what they would prefer. But, as we've seen throughout this playoffs, anybody can win. So who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, and how many times has the Pacers made it to the NBA Finals once? And OKC never. So also it would be the first time since 2000 the Pacers made it to the NBA Finals when they got knocked out by the Lakers back in 2000. And OKC clearly has never been to the finals before. So yeah, that would be
Has Minnesota been?
Seattle. Minnesota? I don't know if Minnesota has been to I don't think they have.
I don't believe they have. Because Kevin Garnett never got past round 2, I don't think.
Let's see what they say. No, never made an NBA final. So that could be if the Pacers Timberwolves, it would be because in the East, both of them have made it to the finals. So whoever makes it out of the West has never made it to the finals. Someone has to make it for the first time this year.
Yeah, and I don't count Seattle because that's a new franchise at this point. It's like people saying the Titans or the Texans or the Ravens or the Browns or whatever. It's just not the case. It's two new franchises now.
Yeah, Joe, I get it. I don't like Scott Foster either, but I don't think you can rig a game 40 points. That feels like that's a big rig.
That's
40 points.
Yeah. The fix was in if that was the case, but I don't think that's the case. I mean, SGA only shot 9 free throws in that game, so it's hard to say that he was rigged.
Also, over on the 40 acres, Texas did get a new basketball recruit over the weekend. Was not expecting any news, but a good one. They brought in Luis Obioroa, I believe.
Good job, Patrick.
I'm going with him. He is a big old boy from England. He is a 7'2" center, wingspan of 7'5", coming in. This is basically their replacement for Jamie Vincent. That Jamie Vincent was supposed to be the 7-footer that was kind of the project. He is no longer there anymore. So Lewis comes in. He is now supposed to be your project center. I watched some of his highlights. You've read about his game. And the reality is it's basically D3 basketball. It's a lower level. Most of the guys he's playing, the tallest guys are like 6'6", 6'7", it looked like. And so he was dwarfing everybody. So he looked pretty decent. He could run, he could cut, jump, he could do everything you want a center to do. He was just doing it at a much lower level of competition. So there's not anything where you saw it and thought, these are big red flags or anything like that. He's just going to need time to get used to playing. Good news is they now have some other big guys on their roster, so he can go up against Modest. He can go up against Traore and really get some guys that can bump him around and get him a little bit more ready to play. But I do really appreciate the fact that they went out and Sean Miller listened to us and said, please go get us some big guys and find some guys for us to go root for that are over 6'9". Sean Miller listened and got us another 7-footer for this Texas team that, look, I'm just excited that they're trying to build that roster. I mean, he's not going to get a ton of playing time, but it is another good project, and it's hard to find 7-footers in today's game because most of the guys, once they're good enough to make it to the college game, they want the money. They want a lot of money, and they want playing time. And Texas wasn't really able to offer that, but still found somebody to build a project with.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things here for me. Number one, he comes from the most British sounding place I've ever heard in my entire life, Barking Abbey, which is quite interesting. And he's got a phenomenal head of lettuce on his head. I mean, it's just a great do. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I'll be honest, I know nothing about this guy. I don't know much about international prospects in college basketball, especially from England. That's not exactly the kind of place you typically hear international prospects coming from. Usually it's Spain or one of those Eastern European countries like, Croatia or Latvia or Serbia or something like that. Occasionally Italy, but it's 7'2", 7'5" wingspan. That's something that they haven't had in a really long time. Now they've got 2 7-footers on the roster for the first time in a very long time since I can remember. I don't know how far you'd have to go back to find that, but 19 years old project. Hopefully he can develop into something. If not, then they move on. But it's always good to have a guy that big on your roster.
Yeah, and I mean, the reality is too, you never know with injuries and you never know with injuries what you're going to have dealt to you. And so you feel pretty good that Modest and Traore are going to be 2 guys that even if one of them's down for a little bit, you still have another center there. But now maybe you have somebody that you're able to put him in for a little bit of run in non-conference. And if you can get him a little bit more ready to go, then he could come in foul trouble and at least put arms in the air and have 7'5" wingspan with arms in the air. And I think that's something that you could have as Sean Miller tries to build this team up, that when we saw Caden Shedrick would get in foul trouble and you're just like, there's no one else. Who else are we putting in? And it just got bad because there wasn't enough bigs to go in there. It felt like, Shaka had the big factory for a while. We just saw the series of Jared Allen and Miles Turner playing against each other. Mo Bamba was part of that as well, where there was a lot of bigs that were coming in, but they played one and done. They were high enough draft picks, but that kind of fell apart, and then no more bigs came to Texas. And we had a drought there for a little while of not really getting the bigs who could play. This is not somebody who you expect to be great. Now, you never know, because, again, this is someone who just hasn't played at that level yet. So once he gets in and starts training with the team, your best case scenario is he progresses really fast and you have to find minutes for him. That's your best case scenario. I would say that's probably not very likely because the game is just going to go really fast. He's going to get turnovers. He's going to be in the wrong space sometimes. He's not going to be, he's going to have trouble finding how to box out guys who have moves around that. And there's just a lot to the post-up game for bigs who have been doing it longer and work with better coaches, and they know how to move around guys. He's got to be able to get his wind up a little bit more to run at the pace of what these guys are going to run at. So there's just a lot that comes into it. But overall, it's a really good sign for Texas that they are international scouting, which we're all about, trying to find different ways to get yourself an advantage over the competition, using the money that Texas has in other ways of just trying to buy the best players. No, let's go out and find some other players. And now, we don't know if he turns out that he's playing pretty well. Maybe he's gone next season anyway, or maybe he asked for too much money in the portal. Who knows what's going to happen in today's college basketball? But I'm a big fan of being able to bring in one more guy to complete that roster, where Jamie Vincent wasn't expected to play a lot this year, but you do now get a piece a piece that's in there that you can replace basically everybody, and it replaces it in your practice too. You know, if you want to sit there and say, we want Traore to practice, you know, we need guys for Nick Cody and John Clark to practice against. We need guys for Modest to practice against. Traore, you know, let's get another big guy to show something else. So in practice, when we're scouting, we're playing a team with a big guy who's going to be flying around the basket and trying to get rebounds or block shots. We don't have anybody in practice who can do it. We just don't. Yeah. We can't scout it very well, and we can't get our team as ready for it. So why don't we get these guys in? I'm a fan of it. We'll see what he's able to do when he gets here. And I agree. If he leaves the hair out, the commitment picture, he had the hair out. I know he's got in dreads sometimes too, or cornrows sometimes. But if he leaves it out, yeah, people will flock to the fro.
Yeah, it'll be a great replacement for Scholarship Burt in terms of Texas and heads of lettuce on athletes. But before we move on to the next thing, can I give you my favorite stat from the weekend?
Yes, go ahead.
This is one of the best things I saw all weekend that I think Texas fans will appreciate very much. And it's from a tweet. From an Instagram post I saw. Texas A&M athletics have been nothing short of a disaster this calendar year. Are you guys ready for this? Football team goes 8-5, drops 4 out of their last 5 games. Basketball team gets bounced in the round of 32, drops 6 of their last 9 games. Baseball team starts the season number 1, goes 28-25, gets swept by Missouri, who has 3 SEC wins, unlikely to make the NCAA tournament. And the number 1 national seed in softball becomes the first number 1 national seed to lose its own regional ever. So hard year for the Aggies in Aggie land down there. But I thought Texas fans might appreciate that one.
Yeah, the softball loss for them that's brutal. To lose to Liberty like that and just have your season in. And, you know, I don't want to take joy in it, but, you know,
I do.
I didn't feel bad for him.
I don't feel bad for him either.
So, yeah, no, it was a very tough weekend for the Aggies. And, now I also saw that they're already the whole thing about we got early. He's just as good. This was the real coach. And it's not Schloss. This was the real guy. They're not saying that anymore. I'm not hearing that so much anymore. Now I'm hearing we need to get rid of this guy. And always my favorite line, this is one of the premier jobs in the country. And you're like,
it always is in Aggie land. You know?
Though? It doesn't feel like it is. It doesn't feel like it feels like you guys think it is, but it doesn't ever turn out that way because you never find it. So I try not to take joy in the misery of others as a general rule in life. I try not to do it. But I also don't feel pain for them. So that's what I'll say. I try not to take joy in the misery of others because it's it's a little bit of it's then people take joy in my misery, and I don't like that either. Just try and live the life you want to lead, right? Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. I take a little joy in it.
No, and I get it. I don't. It's sports for me. My grandfather was an Aggie fan, so I didn't grow up with that hate towards it. That other people did. I didn't necessarily grow up with that hate towards it. Both my parents were Longhorns, but my grandfather was Aggie.
Well, one of my all-time he was like a second dad to me. He's our very close family friend of ours is an Aggie. I hope he's not listening to the show today because he'll be upset with me. But he's one of the Aggies that I was always super close to and had a lot of respect for. But at the end of the day, and I cover the Aggies, but it's a little fun to poke fun at the at the arch rivals every now and again. There's nothing wrong with it.
They are weird. They are weird. So we have that going. And yes, Joe, Trev Alberts probably doesn't want to add. There was someone put the graphic of how much dead money was basically going to every college's fired coaches. And it is a stark revelation. When you get Texas A&M, it is just massively above everybody else's right now. So, yeah, I'm sure they don't really want to add on to that with baseball. They want to just be like, guys, let's ride this out. Let's ride this out for another year. I did want to go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I was going to pull up that number for everybody so they can kind of understand what it is. A&M has over $25 million in dead money going to severance pay for head coaches from 2024. The next closest is Auburn with just over 10 million, and then Texas with just around 7 million. So, come on, let's figure out a way to be a little bit more efficient with the hiring and firing of our coaches. And
come on, Trev.
Yeah, come on, Trev.
Let's get into another story about people spending money willy-nilly, and it's raising a lot of questions, and now there's people trying to set limits and get a little bit more upset about Jackson Cantwell, the number 1 ranked offensive lineman, offensive tackle coming out. He was looking at Georgia, he was looking at Oregon, and then he takes Miami, and the reports are the deal is around $2 million a year to go to Miami. This is a program that is assumed has a budget of about $20 million a year for their NIL.
Yeah.
So they're saying 10% of their NIL will go to a freshman tackle who they're not sure is even necessarily the starter or should be the starter year 1, but that they want to go and pay a ton of money to get him to commit. And a lot of different opinions about this. Some people saying that it's if you got the money, go out and spend it. Go get your guy. If you need to get your guy, go get him. Look, even in the NFL, a lot of times your left tackle and your quarterback, your 2 most important positions on the offensive side of the ball. So if you need to pay that much to get a guy because you can't compete and get that, then go ahead and spend that money. There's other people who will believe you could get 6 tackles for that amount of money, and one of them will probably be pretty good. So go get more players and try and find somebody who's, you can develop into that type of player. And other people think this is setting a really bad precedent that these guys are coming in, making a ton of money, and that's the floor. They don't ever expect to make less than $2 million. So now when he does well, he's going to come in and ask for a raise. Well, you gave me $2 million and didn't prove anything. Now I didn't allow a single sack in my year 2. So I think I should be making $3 million. Our budget's still $20 million. You can't keep it incrementally. We can't, or there's not going to be anybody else on the team. There's also the House bill where there could be anyone getting paid over $600 or something like that, or $6,000, whatever it is, has to then go into be allowed to be approved to make sure that they're not paying people too much on certain things. I don't know how all that would work out, but it is a ridiculous level right now of what guys are paying. And I want to get your opinion, Matt. What do you think about Jackson Cantwell and Miami offering a boatload of money to get a kid to come to school when that was originally not supposed to be the purpose of NIL, but it's always been?
It's sort of the Pandora's box that was opened by NIL in the first place. Yeah. Eventually something like this was going to happen. That's why I think there needs to be sort of contracts in place where, there's a limit to this stuff in some way, shape, or form, where a guy can't, come in making $2 million and then have an awesome freshman year and then turn around and say, all right, I want $4 million or I'm gone. Like there needs to be some sort of regulation around that. But right now it's within it's within the rules. So if I'm Miami, I do this all day, man. You're getting the number 1 recruit in the country to come to your program and it sort of kickstart your recruiting a little bit. You get an elite left tackle that maybe he's not your starter in year 1, but he plays a lot. It's somewhere on your offensive line in year 1 and really helps you improve there. I've seen some of the different quotes about this that kind of bother me a little bit. Like this one guy, if it's coming out of the rev share, there's no effing way. The SEC director, a random anonymous SEC director of personnel said, that's a quarterback or a starting left tackle. Cantwell is going to start his career and be at best a quality starter, not a great one, not an elite one. I mean, I don't know how you can make that assumption considering he's the consensus number 1 recruit in the country pretty much. The On3 industry ranking has him ranked number 1 nationally, number 1 offensive tackle, number 1 player in the state. I mean, he sounds like he's going to be an elite player to me. But
yeah, I think he's saying freshman season, but I agree.
But still, I mean, Kelvin Banks came in and was one of the best left tackles in the country as a true freshman.
Mm-hmm.
I expect Michael Fasusi to do the same thing in 2025, and I expect this guy to do the same thing in 2026. I mean, you're ranked that high for a reason. But it does set a bad precedent in the sense that when players start making this kind of money coming into school without having played a single down or proving a single thing, then it's just going to get that much harder to recruit players down the line as these things start to become more prevalent. They're going to start demanding, like in 2027, I'm sure the number 1 overall player is going to be somebody else. Maybe it's an even more desirable position like quarterback. And now you're going to come in and demand $3 million or $2.5 million or $4 million, whatever the case may be. And now schools are just a little bit more strapped that way. And I do not like the way that this is developed into the wild, wild west. Like, just whoever throws them, it's always kind of been that way. Like, all the elite players are always getting a bag somewhere. It's just now it's more legal for it to happen, so the numbers are coming out, and it's like that. But until they find a way to put some sort of regulation on this and rein it in and stop letting these kids just do whatever they want to, it's just going to become more and more of a problem. I think Texas has a pretty good handle on it right now. I think there are some other schools that have a pretty good handle on it right now. Miami's trying to get back to the elite level, so they're probably overpaying right out of the gate for this guy, so that they can sort of kickstart their move back up and trying to be Miami from the 2000s, or the early 2000s. But I'm not a fan of this in the long run. But until somebody finds a way to put a regulation on it, I say go for it and break the system until it can't be broken anymore, and then they fix it.
Yeah, and I think you can go out and do it. The one question I'd really ask Miami is to be like, do you have the money? Do you really have the money to pull this off and put together a team that's worth putting $2 million in there? And do you have the money that is going to come in and treat you right if you don't win? Or do you have to tell him to walk? Or do these promises start to become unfulfilled a lot quicker? Because we know it already happened to Miami once when they had a donor who was running a Ponzi scheme, and all that money disappeared overnight, and a lot of players transferred out because they were promised one thing, and that was no longer the deal because the guy who promised it was a liar and a cheat and a criminal. So they had to restart. So when you get a guy like this, and I expect him to be very good too, but you never know. Some of these guys don't transition well enough, and some of these guys have issues, or maybe something goes wrong, and maybe he, has an injury, and I don't wish this on anybody, knock on wood. Don't get hurt. I don't want to put that. But if that happens, are you still getting $2 million your sophomore year? Or now do you pull out, and now does that hurt your recruiting long term? Because, well, we told the number 1 recruit in the nation to come here, but we then renegotiated at the end of the year as a university because he wasn't what we thought he was. And, I think when you get into these games of huge numbers from these universities, they're playing it a little bit more fast and loose in the world of the wild, wild west of we're able to promise you things and we don't have to deliver either. Because at the end of the day, we'll just say, okay, hit the portal. We're done. That's fine. We'll take the L on that one. We paid you. Go ahead and go. There isn't contracts right now to make them have to answer to that and to say, I'm going to pay you $2 million for 3 seasons. So $6 million guaranteed money if you come to Miami. Now they're pretending to say that, but it's not real because there's nothing in writing. There's nothing that guarantees he's going to get that money right now because you can't do it legally to give him that money. So it's really a slippery slope that we're on of NIL. I'm fine with people doing whatever they want to do within the constraints of it to get it. But if I'm Miami, I'm starting to ask the question, is this really the best way to build a franchise? Or is it a bunch of guys that are really trying to keep their job right now because they had a bad season last year? They didn't have the season that they wanted to have. And now they're trying to turn everything around. And they understand it's not their money.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly the same situation, but it's kind of similar to what supposedly happened to Texas A&M with this 2022 recruiting class. They brought in the best recruiting class of all time, and then I think 18 of those guys have ended up transferring or whatever the case may be. And then Walter Nolan, who eventually transferred to Ole Miss after a bunch of these guys transferred and he ended up entering the portal, said, PSA, if you're going to A&M, read your contract thoroughly. Hit me up if you have any questions, just trying to help. Like, what do you think he's trying to say with that?
Yeah.
It's I was promised this, I didn't get this, and now I'm gone. And that's kind of, it seems like that's sort of becoming a more of a norm, because like there's no regulation on this. You can't promise these kids anything in writing, like you said. So they're going wherever they're going to go based on a promise. And anytime you go anywhere based on a promise of money, you're probably going to end up being disappointed. Where like at Texas, they're like, okay, we're going to give you all the best opportunities to succeed in NIL.
Yeah.
If you come in here as a recruit, we're going to give you every opportunity, but we're not going to offer you anything up front. You're going to earn what you get through your play and through the opportunities that you receive, and you're going to be developed and have a chance to go to the NFL. A lot of these other programs are just throwing money at their problems to try to fill holes with elite recruits, and it doesn't end up working out.
Well, and I mean, Texas had the Pancake Factory, but that was a lot less money we're talking about. But that was every scholarship offensive lineman gets $50,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And so it's still a good chunk of money that you're talking about handing out. And it was extremely important. And, you know, what in rebuilding the Texas offensive line, it was a great way to work it at the beginning when there was more strict rules about talking to recruits about monies. You said, we can't tell you we're going to pay you if you come here, but we can tell you we're going to pay every offensive lineman on the roster. So that'll tell you if you come here, you're going to get at least 50,000, and we can go from there. But that's only a few years ago. And now you're saying the money's $2 million. And like, it's crazy how much this is ballooned. And I get the concept because, you know, you talk about in the NFL, why does it cost so much money? You go, because the owners keep raising the prices and the owners keep asking for more from TV networks. And that's why you have to buy 17 streaming services. And basically all the players say is give me a portion of that. So players aren't demanding more. They're just saying, I want a portion of that money. And with the portion of that money, then you get to, you know, but the owners say, okay, well, we're just going to keep making more and more and then blame you for expensive contracts, which is not the case. It's the owners want more money. Which you get, it's a business. That's where you're trying to make money, right? So we see that in college football like now is all the players are looking at and say, we want a portion of the money, and we know what the real number is. So when you keep giving us these fake numbers, we don't like it, but the number isn't, no one knows what the real number is for any of these schools because there are other expenses that they're not thinking of. This is not a football team run solely on the revenue the football team makes, and the football team is supporting other things. And so it becomes this real mess of players looking at it and agents looking at it saying, your football program, we just saw the numbers come out. Your football program made $150 million last year. Where's my cut of that $150 million? And the school and the football program goes, we're only keeping $40 million of that. $110 million of that goes back to the school and other sports and everything else to keep everything else rolling. And we're paying for all that. So we can't give you all of the money we're making. And it just feels like I'm very much on board of trying to get more regulation in the agents. Because I feel like you can then still get, you can still have a lot of things happening. Players can still get taken care of. There can still be negotiations. There can still be all of these things. But you do have an understanding with the agents where they are not trying to overstep their bounds because you have people who don't know what's happening. And you have people reading the same articles we are and talking to the same people we are and acting like they have a real idea of what's happening. And they don't. And so they go, well, this guy made $2 million. So my guy is the number 4. He should be worth $1 million. It ain't like that. That's not how this works. And you can go and maybe you're going to screw over your client now because your player is going to say, Joe, go get me the money. And you're going to put him in a bad situation where he's going to end up getting lied to and not get the money because you just deal with shadier people. So I think if you get agents, in the NFL, you can't work without an agent. There needs to be some reviews to that. But I think if you had more of a certification process for the agents in college football, it may help out some of this where you're just getting people going for broke on every single thing. And it works for some of them. But in the end of the day, you care more about most of these kids than just the one that gets the $2 million. If you say for every kid that gets $2 million, there's 250 kids who get screwed, like that's a bad system. And I think that's kind of where we're at now, is that you're watching it just be split so much between the sides, and kids are asking for too much. We saw, the Nico situation at Tennessee, things like that, where it's just not good for the game, not good for the kids, not good for the schools. And it feels like money's driving it. And sometimes it's the parents, sometimes it's the kids, and a lot of time it's an agent who understands they're making 5%, 10%, some of these cases 20%, which is absurd for a manager to make in that situation or an agent to make in that situation. But they understand it, and they're going to try and get every penny because they're hustling.
Yeah, the agents, I think, are the biggest problem with all of this. So I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, they don't have any care in the world for the kids 99% of the time. They're just trying to make a buck and make as much money as they can on any deal. So they're pushing guys like Nico Iamaleava to hold out and earn some more money so that they can get money. So they're giving him bad advice, and it's starting to affect these kids' careers. And they're like, I mean, Nico should never have left Tennessee.
No,
not in a million years. And his agent or whoever, it's dad or whoever it is, gives him bad advice. So then he suffers the negative consequences of somebody else being selfish. And that's what the problem with all of this is with NIL for the most part. I mean, I'm all for these kids getting paid. I always thought they should always get paid for putting their body on the line, just like any other professional sport does, because college football is the closest thing to a professional sport that is not a professional sports in America. And they need to be compensated for what they bring to these universities. But there are so many people out there trying to take advantage of them and their talents, and they're so young and impressionable that they listen to these guys because they think that they know what's best, because they claim to be these know-it-all agent big money guys, and it's just really not the case. Like a lot of these guys never went to law school. They don't understand how to draw up a contract. They don't understand how to do any of these other things at a professional level like these NFL agents do. And it's biting these kids in the butt. And I really hope that doesn't happen to Jackson Cantwell. I hope it doesn't. I hope that they figure out a way to stop it. But right now it's just running rampant.
No, and I've seen it, like when I've worked in the music industry, you'd have agents that would come in or managers who would come in and sweet talk these bands and tell them that this, we're going to get you a deal and I'll get you more money from all these clubs. And they would ruin these bands' names because they'd start running around saying, my band can't do that. My band's worth this. And there would be no basis in it. Like, you could get a guarantee to play at a club if the club thought you would draw that many people. They'd say, we'll guarantee you the money because we think we're going to make it back. And people would start coming in and asking for money that you'd say, but I don't think you're going to draw that much. You go, oh, it's not about the draw. Our band's good enough. That's not how this works. Like, they'd be like, you need to promote this a lot more because our band's good. So you want me to break your band and make all you the money and then give you all that money that I spent it's not how any of this works. And I think you're seeing that some with the agents who are like, we need you to get a guy to develop them and make them better and everything else. And I'm going to tell the guy that I've got it all set up for him because I'm going to get a piece of it. It just ends poorly all across the board. And when you're worried about the actual kids that are involved in this, that are 18, 19 years old, and they see a story like that and then have an agent knock on their door and say, I can take you to that next level. I can get you a scholarship and I can get you not just scholarship, but I'll get you a big NIL package. Give me 20% for the next 5 years. And, maybe some of you can say, well, they would have made nothing without him. You go, but they could have had a real manager or a real agent who would have gotten them something good if they were really that talented. They could have found somebody that wasn't a scammer, and they wouldn't end up in the spot they're in. It's unfortunate, the world we're living in with it, but at the end of the day, it's a reality of college sports now, and you just see stories like this, and all you think is, this can't end well for almost anybody. Like, the odds of this that he plays 3 years at Miami. Everything goes well. Miami has some 10-win seasons in there. Everybody's happy. Carson Beck's well protected. He gives up 0 sacks this season, then goes to the NFL as a first-round pick, and everybody's happy with how that works out. Feels very low. The odds of that feel low. So it just, anytime you see us, and then it makes another 100 kids think, well, that's my price now. And it's not. And so it's just going to be a tough road for a lot of people. It's like when you remember when you were in school and they would have to give you the reality check in sports day. If you ever had that, where they come in and show you like the graphic of how many people make it on each step in sports. Remember, they'd be like, this is how many kids play middle school, and this is how many kids play high school, and this is how many kids go to college. This is how many kids go pro. And they would give you that reality. Just be like, so listen here, 5'7" white kid, you're not going pro. It's not happening. Start studying. You know, you kind of need that reminder somewhat for some of these kids with NIL. Be like, no, I get what you're thinking. Everything's happening. Take this opportunity and do the right thing with it. And whatever your agent's saying, just always kind of fact check them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I remember when I was in 6th grade, all I wanted to do was play basketball at Highland Park High School. And I tried out for the 7th grade basketball team, and everybody's like, you're too short, you're too fat, you're too slow. You need to do something else. It's like, yeah, that's probably the case. So, I mean, hopefully something comes around that sort of regulates all this stuff and puts some, finds a way to legitimize some of these agents and these people who are trying to take advantage of these kids. Because like in the NFL, everybody, I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm pretty sure that 99.9% of players are represented by legitimate agencies and legitimate agents who know what they're doing and have the best interests of the player at heart and not themselves, because they're going to make money either way, because through the companies that they're doing it through, they have a standard rate and all these different things. And in college, it's just every man for himself. You know, you find a guy who promises you a couple $1 million and he sells you really well on it because he's a con artist, then you're gonna believe him because you're 18 years old. And you're like, a lot of these kids come from places where they don't have a lot of money, and they really need to. Half the reason they're doing this is because they're trying to make money for their family and set up themselves up for the rest of their lives. And a lot of these agents see that and they're like, okay, I'm going to lie to this kid and I'm going to tell him he's going to make a whole bunch of money, and I'm going to set it up where, I'm going to make 20% of whatever he earns. And then, it's just some 18-year-old impressionable kid who's like, yeah, absolutely. And it's just really unfortunate.
And then let's be real, on the other side, it doesn't need to go back to the dark ages either, of nobody makes any money except for the guys at the top, and screw the kids. And that one also shouldn't happen. So what scares me the most about when you see deals like this is, well, there's another building block for the billionaires to say, I don't want to do this anymore. So why don't we just take all the money back for ourselves? And government, could you pass a bill saying that football players making money is legal now, and we'll go ahead and just screw everybody else over again? Like that's more what you worry, is them setting unrealistically low money rules because they can. And like you can't. Hopefully you can never go back to the world where, again, we talk about Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers didn't take money from Texas. Quinn Ewers made a lot of money around Texas because he was the starting quarterback at Texas. Arch Manning is making a lot of money because he's the starting quarterback at Texas, who is the nephew of two really famous quarterbacks and the grandson of a very famous quarterback. So he can make a ton of money, not even from the school, but because of his position in life and at school, right? So that's a way that you couldn't even do that before. We know that Ohio State had the players that were selling autographs, and they're like, that's illegal. That's craziness in its own. Profit sharing should be somewhat of it as well, but it just can't go back to the dark ages where anybody making, $50,000, that's too much. We got to get that money out. We don't want to go that far, but we also don't want to go to every, if you're a starter, you should be making over $1 million. That's just not going to work across the board in college sports. There's not enough money to go around to school to do that.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to go back to the days where Laramie Tunsil's getting an NCAA violation for crashing on his coach's couch because he had an issue at home.
Yeah.
Like that happened. Let's remember that.
Yeah.
Like it used to be absolutely it was absolutely dreadful. There was so many stupid rules in place for these kids that they couldn't get anything. I mean, I know there was another Ole Miss recruiter I remember who got in trouble for his coach giving him a ride to a recruiting camp outside of the city. Like we can't have stuff. We can't have it go back to that. There needs to be, and this is why I think there needs to be a college football commissioner and a team in place that can draw up rules to bring all this stuff to a fair level. And it's going to be probably a while before that happens. And, deals like this one with Jackson Cantwell are probably going to be some of the ones that sort of tip it in that direction, hopefully.
Yep.
But it's going to be a while, I think.
All right, let's take a quick break, Matt. We'll come back. I want to ask the people in the chat on the text line about Texas game day traditions that they want to see improved, maybe new Texas game day traditions, because there is a top 10 college game day traditions list that was put out this morning, and Texas isn't on it, not surprisingly. There's all college football Texas or college football traditions. So we'll go through that list, but I want to get where Texas can fall. Does Texas need it? Let me know what you think in the chat. We want to get into that. Ari Wasserman also put out his playoff predictions and has Texas doing pretty well. We'll talk about that and more as we come back here on Open Gym here on Texas Sports Unfiltered.
Hi, I'm Dan Covert with my wife Hayden. Welcome to Covert BK.
Our newest location in the gorgeous Hill Country includes Buick, GMC, Cadillac, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, and hundreds of pre-owned and certified vehicles for you to choose from. We have 3 service departments that are ready to take care of your car, truck, or SUV with 86 service bays to accommodate any repair and get you in and out quickly. Come visit us today to select the vehicle you've been dreaming about.
Covert, born and raised in Austin.
Hi, this is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations.
I got this, Dad. This is Camilla McKay, and my dad can help with any TV or stereo needs you have around your house. Just call him, and he will come to you with advice and a great price. And the guys that work for him are awesome. They can install anything, anywhere. So, like my dad says, just relax and smile. We handle all the work.
So just give us a call at 255-8678 or on the web at avconsultations.com.
Say hello to Jason and the gang over at Relax the Back. They embrace a holistic approach for a healthier lifestyle based on 35 years, folks, of proven expertise, and my back couldn't be happier. Their motto is live wellness, and folks, they can transform your routine, your daily routine, into something very, very special if you have back pain. If you're struggling with thoracic problems, if you got hip problems, if you got lumbar problems, please go over to one of their stores. They got 2 great locations, and find out a chair or a recliner or a sofa that's going to fit you and going to make your life a whole lot better. I've got this office chair right here that I've been sitting in for years, and I love it. 2 locations, folks, at the Hill Country Gallery across from Whole Foods, and in North Austin at the Gateway Shopping Center across from the Container Store. Live pain-free like the Buck and Relax the Back.
SendTexTickets.com. If you're in the market for tickets to any sporting event, any concert, any Broadway show, anything live coming to town, you got to head over to SendTexTickets.com. The best seats to all of the biggest events, not just here in Austin, but all over the state and all over the country as well. It's so easy to use. Just log on your phone or computer to SendTexTickets.com. All of their tickets are 100% guaranteed, and they will be delivered right to your phone or computer. So simple to use, and you're also helping to support a local business every time you shop. SendTexTickets.com. So if you want to be at the biggest events in sports and entertainment, there's only one place to go. It's SendTexTickets.com.
Back here on Open Gym on Texas Sports Unfiltered, rolling with you on a Monday afternoon. Myself, Patrick Davis, alongside Matt Galatzan from Texas Longhorns on SI. Just talked a little NIL. Want to get into some more college football conversation. First, shout out to Scottie Scheffler. We talked on a little bit on Friday what to look forward to in the PGA Championship with Jordan Spieth not being in the running, Rory McIlroy not really having the showing that he wanted to have, and Matt said, Scottie Scheffler, see if he can go win another major. He does. gets it done, has an epic Sunday, makes the run, and gets his third major championship and second one of the Grand Slam checked off. Scottie Scheffler going to make a run this year. He's still got 2 more majors to go.
I mean, I think the way he's playing right now, I think he could do it. It's really impressive to me that he could go out and win that major after just, for the most part, over the weekend, not playing his best golf. And on Sunday, he has a great run, but it's also kind of indicative of what I talked about on Friday, where there's always a few guys who you don't really know who pop out in front, like Vegas and those guys who are out on top after the first couple rounds, and then the lights get bright and they kind of crumble. And when you have a guy like Scottie Scheffler, who's so seasoned and not affected by those things, who's coming after you and nipping at your heels, then it just gets that much more intimidating. And he just went out there and played his style. And when he's at his best, there's not very many people who are better than him. So I'm not overly surprised that he was able to go out there and get the win. I thought it was going to be a little bit tighter because John Rahm had a good shot there on Sunday to sort of close that gap, and then he closed with, I think, bogey and then double bogey, and dropped 5 strokes there to lose that. So overall, like, great for Scottie. I'm not surprised that that was the case. I'm not surprised that that he's getting this much closer to hitting the Grand Slam. Like, I know that Jordan Spieth is a PGA Championship away from getting the Grand Slam, but it almost feels like if there's a golfer out there who's going to get it done in the next few years, it's going to be Scottie. I just think his game's in a better place right now. He's sort of built to play well in any sort of condition or any sort of tournament, no matter what. So, we'll see. The U.S. Open, I believe, is next. Is that correct? U.S. Open's this in June.
U.S. Open is June 12th through the 15th, and then the Open Championship July 17th through 20th.
Yeah, Open Championship's always on my birthday, so that's like a bucket list trip for me that I have to take one of these years. But does it say where U.S. Open is? Because I haven't looked.
The U.S. Open is at Oakmont Country Club. That's in Pennsylvania, Oakmont, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Oakmont. Scottie will probably be a favorite for that one, so get your bets in early. I would imagine that he'll have a pretty good shot to win that one, but yeah, I mean, I'm happy for him. I'm not surprised. It was sort of an underwhelming tournament considering it was a major.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it it felt because a lot of the guys kind of knocked themselves out in day one, and then it kind of lost a little luster, and then after that, it never picked it back up. And then Scheffler made the run at the end with Rahm kind of falling off. But yeah, we do sit with Scheffler now. He is his best results in the majors. The U.S. Open, he got second in 2022. In the Open, he was 7th in 2024. So he's been up there, but those ones will be ones to watch now in the Scheffler watch of this season. So he just picks up one more. Then every time you play that tournament becomes a watch. So he just got to win one more of those, and then it becomes a real story. That's the Jordan Spieth part. It's like, well, every time he plays the PGA Championship for the rest of his life, as long as his career goes, that'll be he's one away. He's one away. I don't know how many guys are one away still. I have to look up and see how many guys are one away from a Grand Slam, but I don't feel like it's a lot because we know Rory was one away and got his already this year, but they don't happen that often.
Yeah, and Rory had that narrative and that pressure around him for 14 years or something like that. Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I would expect Scottie to perform very, very well at the U.S. Open, and if he does that, then I mean, obviously, I don't think he's gonna, he's not Tiger Woods, so he's not going to go out there and get all 3 of these probably, but. Crazier things have happened, I suppose. Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to see. I see a list here, and we'll see how many. I mean, Phil Mickelson's one short.
Jordan Spieth, I believe.
Yeah, those are the only 2 guys that I believe are still active, because before that, it goes all the way to Tom Watson. So I believe there's only 2 that are still technically playing golf and have a shot at it that are one short. So if Spieth gets that, he jumps onto that list. So I'll be watching him in those 2 tournaments. But a shout out for him to come back and win that tournament, at least make it another good one for the Longhorns and Longhorn fans. Get another victory you can put on the weekend.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's get into this list of the top 10 game day traditions, Matt, because it's top 10 college football game day traditions in the nation ranked for 2025. And this is by Grant Hughes over at 24/7 Sports. And the list is pretty good. It's pretty accurate. But this raises the question for me, and I feel like I've had this conversation before on other shows, but Texas doesn't feel like it has that kind of thing. Like, it doesn't have the thing. And I want to talk to people in the chat if you want to throw in your answer of what you think it should be, what you think the closest thing is of a tradition that you look forward to, that you want to see it, because they do a couple things at every game, and I don't go to as many games now as I used to, but you'd have the certain things they do at a lot every game, and none of them are really there. And then some of them are on this list for other teams. So you can tell they're kind of somewhat of just popular places, and one team kind of claims it as their own. We go down the list. The 10 is the Hawkeye wave. Of course, when they go over and wave to the children's hospital that you can see from the stadium, one of the more heartfelt traditions that everyone really likes. Not anything Texas could replicate there. I don't believe you can see anything outside of DKR from being inside of DKR. Number 9, they have Sweet Home Alabama for Alabama when they play that, and everybody sings along, which the people I know from Alabama don't necessarily love that as much. Especially outside of the stadium, that tradition doesn't go as well. Number 8, the Sooner Schooner, which I would not put on this list necessarily. I'm not going to put that on the tradition because I think it's silly, but they have the Sooner Schooner at number 8. At number 7, they have Howard Rock at Clemson when they come out and they all touch the rock as they're entering in. Number 6 is the Play Like a Champion Today sign at Notre Dame. That's the one everybody knows that they touch it. It has been synonymous with them since 1986. So it has been a long time since they have had that sign and touched it. Number 5 is Rolling Toomer's Corner at Auburn. That is technically post-game, but that is where they throw, toilet paper, all their own trees at their own place to celebrate victories.
So dumb.
Number 4 is Dotting the I at Ohio State. This one's actually pretty cool. I'll give it to Ohio State. This one's a cool one because they can bring in people and give them that honor, whether it is to, a celebrity or if it's just a student or whoever to come out there and dot the I in the Ohio. I think it's a cool little way that's very Ohio, like it's very much them. It is not some of these other ones where you're like, it's not really like anyone could do this. You can't, Texas can't dot the I anywhere. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Number 3 is Chief Ocelo's spear plant at Florida State when he comes out there and does that. They started doing that in 1978, where he comes out and plants the spear. Number 2 is Jump Around in Wisconsin. I've been at a Texas game where Jump Around happened and the crowd was going nuts, and it works. People, it also shakes the stadium because people are all jumping. So it's somewhat concerning, but also a lot of fun when that happens. I didn't know Wisconsin was necessarily the one for that, but apparently in 1998, in a game against Purdue, they started it, and then they just always do it, and now it's a thing tied into Wisconsin. I did not even know that was a thing. It's crazy that's number 2 because it doesn't feel as unique. And then number 1, I did know, is Enter Sandman for Virginia Tech coming down to the field. The intro for that is number 1 on this list. That is always a crazy electric moment. If the team was good, it would be even crazier. But it's also like Virginia Tech Stadium's a little bit more old school, so it does look more college football, like old school college football, instead of some of the buildings you see now where everything's a little bit nicer. And so it doesn't necessarily have the feel of college football. It feels more professional. But Virginia Tech Stadium, it just works.
Yeah, there's 3 on this list that I hate.
Okay.
Well, actually, there's 4. I already said one of them was dumb. But Sweet Home Alabama, Jump Around, and Enter Sandman, I think, are all stupid because it's a song that was made by somebody else that has nothing to do with the program, that they just co-opted and made their own thing. Which I think, if it's going to be a college tradition, or like for your football program, it needs to be something original. Like the Play Like a Champion Today, I think should be number 1 on this list.
Okay.
I think that's the coolest thing. The Florida State spear thing in the middle of the field, I think is another really, really cool one that should be, probably number 1 or number 2 on the list. I think USC's stabbing the middle of the field with the sword should be on the list. The rolling Toomer's Corner thing is just dumb. You're just like, you're littering your own campus and then somebody else has to go clean it all up. Like, you're just creating work for these people, which, hey, maybe you're creating jobs. Good for you. But I don't like it. There's other things that, like, I feel like Texas has some decent traditions that I don't know should be on this list necessarily, but there's some on this list that shouldn't be on there. Like the Iowa one is so cool. I think that should be way higher on the list for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's so heartfelt and the kids get a kick out of it and the fans, like, it's a really cool moment. Like Ole Miss has one that's like kind of okay, but it shouldn't be on the list either, where like they have celebrities start the hottie toddy chant before every game, which is kind of cool. But this list, I feel like every listicle that you make on these on stuff like this almost has to be 10, so that's why some of these are on there.
Yeah.
But there's really only like 4 or 5 traditions like this in college football that I think should be on the list, honestly.
No, I get you.
I think it should be the Play Like a Champion Today, the Florida State one, the USC one, Howard's Rock, and like dotting the I. And then if you want to have an honorable mention, the Iowa one.
Yeah, I go with that. I always say I think the music ones are the best though. And I get like not saying they're like it because they're also all newer ones for the most part. They're all within the last 30 years. But there is something about like the way it can pump up a crowd. Because there's nothing else. Like, that coming out and you story, everyone's like, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. But when you have the music and you're like, oh, you feel the anticipation build and all of that, it's just to get, whether it's 80,000, 100,000, 120,000 people to all be like shaking with anticipation and then explode in a moment is always insane. And that's what all those songs basically do, is create that. Now, Sweet Home Alabama is not quite that because there's just not, it's not, rock enough. Like I was digging Texas this year coming out to Hell's Bells. I thought it was awesome this year when they were coming out with the boombox and Hell's Bells, and just especially on the long walk from the stadium now, from their locker room, and they just show them on the screen and they just, playing Hell's Bells. And it is that beginning of it with so much anticipation of like, okay, here they come. And I thought it was great. And now the problem is you're going to do that right up into Texas fight. And so it kind of, the anticipation, instead of like full on rock, you just get it to, Texas fight, which is great, just different. But it was really fun to see that. I like that one this year. But yeah, it's like, it feels like everything Texas does is either kind of similar. I know CDC said he was trying to do the smoke, make that a thing, because he saw it in some soccer games. And, trying to release the smoke, and it did not go well at all. And people were pissed off about it and hated it because it smells and it lingers. So it was not, that one was kind of a fraught experiment. The drone show they're trying to do, but it's cool, but it doesn't feel like something that's like, iconic. And that's what you're saying is in 2025, can you find something to last, the test of time and be iconic? Can you find that thing in 2025? And I just don't know if you can do it really anymore. It'd just be a different song. And hip hop doesn't feel like it's going to cross barriers enough to be able to do it. Cause you'd say like Mo Bamba would be the one. And we know that some people really go off on Mo Bamba, but it's a Texas player. So it feels more okay of a song, but I don't know. It doesn't, I don't know if it crosses barriers enough.
But even then, that seems more synonymous with Penn State because they're the first people that did it.
I know,
which is kind of weird. Yeah. In like Texas A&M, like as much crap as I give Texas A&M, like they have the sway back and forth, which is like if you're sitting in the press box, it kind of has the same effect as the jump around where like it feels like the press box is moving, and they even have like a warning for visiting media, like it's gonna feel jarring. Everything is fine. You will be okay. Like, so that one's kind of cool. Texas has where like they rub the longhorn, like the tip of the horn on the way out, which I think is a pretty good one. But I think you're right about the Hell's Bells thing, because when you go from Hell's Bells into Texas Fight, it just sort of feels jarring. Like it's such a major switch in everything that it's kind of like, okay, like I'm just kind of thrown off. I mean, it's still like one of the best fight songs in college football and all that stuff, but just going from one to the other just feels kind of strange.
It does. If they could figure out how to transition that properly, then I think it'd be amazing. If you just figure out now, who knows if they're going to do it next year? If that was a thing decided by some of the team and those guys are gone now, who knows? But I know Michael Taft carried it a lot last year, so maybe it's a Michael Taft thing. Maybe they'll do it again this year.
Yeah, like running the American flag out, I think is a really cool one that Texas does. Like Smokey the Cannon, like the Spurs with Bevo, like all those are really cool traditions that I think are well worthy of this list, considering it's 10.
Cool. Yeah, they're not one singular event thing, but yeah, they're because Bevo being there on the field and having the best live mascot in college sports is always, or probably sports in general, but Bevo is awesome. And then the Cannon is another piece. Big Bertha, you can get out there, but none of those just feel like that thing that you're like, oh, that's the identifiable thing with Texas. But maybe that's fine for Texas not to have the thing, and they just have several. The Cannon one, it is always jarring the first time it goes off, and especially if they don't score in the first quarter. And so you're just not thinking about it, not in the best mood because they did not score in the first quarter. And then they're just like walking around the field and you're not looking at the clock, and all of a sudden a cannon goes off. It is 100% the most jarring thing. And then you're like, I completely forgot that was going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I've been covering Texas games in person for 4 years. I've been going to Texas games my entire life. And like, still when I'm sitting in the press box, making my shells and getting ready for the game, and that first cannon goes off, I always go, huh! Like every single time I jump, and it always throws me off a little bit, but I like the tradition. My dad and my brother were both Spurs, so I'm kind of partial to that one, with Bevo and everything. And like a lot of the stuff that goes into that isn't necessarily part of the game though. Like, like my dad just told me so many fun stories about Spurs and all that stuff. Like, Aggies trying to steal Bevo, and, him and his uncle catching them, and my uncle throwing Aggies into a tree, like all kinds of really cool stuff. But you're right. Like Texas doesn't really have that identifiable play like a champion, planting the spear, planting the sword kind of a thing. And I honestly, I really don't think they need it. I don't. It's already such a historic blue blood program that it already has enough tradition. Yeah. Whereas like Virginia Tech needs a gimmick, like Wisconsin needs a gimmick, Auburn needs a gimmick. A lot of these schools need that to have that kind of tradition. Notre Dame isn't one of them. They just happen to have one. But I don't think Texas really needs one necessarily.
No, I think Texas basketball could use one.
Probably.
I think Texas basketball could use one, especially because you're in the Moody Center now, and it's so nice that it's almost too nice for college basketball. Like when you have the champagne room up at the top, and you see that, you're like, it just feels like, I love the corral's awesome, but if the corral had like a thing that they started and the whole crowd did, I feel like that, maybe if you could find that, I'm sure that was probably one of Chris Beard's plans that did not ever come to existence. I know he tried to have the thing where you came down to the court after the game, and he did it at Tech, and man, he tried to do it in Austin for the first couple times, and you saw everyone freak out about it because they were like, you can't do that here for a couple reasons. One, if you do it in Lubbock, everyone there is like a student. Half this crowd, if not more, is not a student here. So you have 50-year-old people coming down on the court drunk, coming out like holding beers and spilling stuff all over the place. And then COVID happened. They're like, you definitely cannot have everyone coming down to the every time right now. And so, yeah, they tried to do it where you had to get wristbands to be able to do it. And yeah, it was funny because like they were trying to find ways to make it somewhat possible to still have the students come down. But it just was. Everybody would ruin it because everybody wanted to run down. Every single kid wanted to run down. And then they're trying to grab the rim and they're trying to grab the net and shoot, whatever they can grab at stuff. And you're like, this is just not working the same way that I think it worked in Lubbock for you when it was mostly students at these games.
Well, one of my favorite things that Texas does that I think is kind of underrated is before the team runs out, they run all the kids out from the end zone to the other end of the field.
Yeah.
And there's always like that one kid at the end who's like 3 years old and going really slow and everybody's cheering him on. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
But maybe they'll find something. I just don't think it's necessary.
I think they've got enough. They got enough things going on that is probably not the most necessary. I know CDC keeps trying to pump things into it, but I don't think any of them are necessarily going to stick long term. But I know he's working on it, so maybe he'll find something as he keeps going. But I think what more people want to see is what our man Ari Wasserman is predicting. He put out a new prediction over on his 12-team bracket for the 2025 college football playoff. We've been through Matt's already, but Ari Wasserman over it on 3 put one out and wanted to project how everybody was going to go in this bracket. It starts out his first round has Ohio State being in at number 5, not winning their conference, but coming in at number 5 against Boise State. Boise State making their second trip at the 12 seed as the non-Power 4 team to make it in. And he has Ohio State just getting the big win in round 1. He also has LSU versus Alabama, 2 more SEC teams, LSU being the number 6 seed, Alabama being the number 11 seed. I still just don't see it with LSU. I just don't. And maybe I'm way off. Maybe I'm underestimating. I just don't see them having this electric of a season. I don't feel like they're going to turn it around that much in one season when they haven't really been that team for 2-3 years now. Like, I just don't think all of a sudden it's going to come together and they're like, oh, we're the second, third best team in the SEC. I just don't see it. I think they'll be good, but I think they're going to jump into that like Ole Miss, Tennessee realm of the SEC where you're like one step behind Georgia and Texas and Alabama. And I think you're just one step behind. So you're right there, maybe get hot, but I just don't see him jumping all that way in one season.
I think that it would probably make more sense. I mean, I'm a little bit higher on LSU than you are, but I think that this game would probably make more sense if the seeds were flipped.
Yeah.
if LSU was number 11 and Alabama was number 6.
Yeah, because LSU has a tough schedule. So even if they lose a couple and they could still sneak in the back end of it because their schedule's so tough.
Yeah, and I would love to see this game because those two schools hate each other. It's one of the better rivalries in the SEC that doesn't really, it's not the traditional, the traditional rivalry necessarily. It kind of was kickstarted by the Nick Saban thing, but it's become an awesome rivalry. So I really hope that one happens. But I kind of agree with you. I think that it would make a lot more sense if Alabama was 6 and LSU is number 11.
Well, and what's funny is the LSU rivalry is because LSU doesn't have like their natural rival. And so everyone tries to pick a rivalry with them because they're a good school. They're a fun place to visit. They got a lot going for them. And so everybody tries to pick a rivalry, but they don't want any of those scraps. LSU doesn't want A&M. And A&M really wants LSU. And they just keep fighting off that rivalry. And then they always try and go poke the bear that's Alabama. And Alabama's like, we have Auburn. We're fine. We're feuding with Georgia. Like Georgia is the other good team. So it's a Georgia and our rival is Auburn. We don't want to, you're not part of this. We're the better team. And so LSU just gets stuck in the middle of they're always trying to punch up and everyone below them is trying to punch up to them. And it leaves them in this really weird realm, but you can tell you're right. They really want this Alabama rivalry. They're going to play them in the regular season. And if they were to play them again in the playoffs, it would kickstart something a little bit more between them, especially in the post Nick Saban era, where maybe that Alabama rivalry is a little bit more doable because the Nick Saban era, it's like you just weren't, LSU just wasn't necessarily usually in that conversation, and Alabama was always in it.
Yeah, LSU people hate when I say this, but I'm not going to apologize for it. So, suck it. Their biggest rivalry is Ole Miss, and it's not close. Like, they have a trophy. It's a legitimate rivalry. They've been playing for forever. There's historic games. LSU's leading the series, obviously, but that is their biggest rivalry, and they're too proud to admit otherwise.
But no, that's my point.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Like, they just don't view Ole Miss as like a big enough team to be on the level of LSU. But the fact of the matter is that's their biggest rivalry, and they just need to deal with it.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. They have all these teams that want to have a rivalry with them, and they just ignore all of them. And they're like, no, we're a big fish. We're the big fish. We swim, and we do. And you're like, no, calm down. If you have 5-6 winning seasons in a row, we can reconsider these things. But if you just have one really good season every 4 or 5 years and then kind of fall back down, you can't pick a rivalry like that because you're going to end up losing more than you win, and that's not going to be where it's at. It always feels like how Texas Tech always wanted to be in the rivalry with Texas, and then you'd be like, dude, you go pick a rivalry with another Texas school. Like, go have fun with that. They're like, no, we want you, Texas. You're the bad guys.
Well, I think that something that LSU fans need to realize is that if Joe Burrow doesn't show up in Baton Rouge, you're not a relevant program right now.
No.
You don't have a national championship since 2003. You don't have all these elite players, a lot of these elite players in the NFL from the last few years, like Justin Jefferson and, the receivers that they put out. I mean, LSU is one of those programs that just needs a reality check. And that's the fact.
They do, but I'll give it this. I'm always fine playing LSU because the people there are usually pretty cool. And the food's really good, and it's a cool place to go visit Louisiana. So, like, I think I get why people want to start a rivalry with them, because you don't want to start a rivalry with Arkansas. You got to go to Arkansas. It's like why you don't want to start a rivalry with some of these teams. You got to go there. But for LSU, I'm like, yeah, no, you get a good one there. But that in his role, they have Alabama and LSU, and he has LSU winning again here in this one. Moving on over Alabama. His next one is number 7 Notre Dame versus number 10 Illinois. The thought is that Illinois is this year's Indiana, and they just have an easier schedule. They're able to run that easier schedule and be in a big conference, so those wins matter more. And so they basically just kind of get in. And then Notre Dame gets in as well because they play a tough enough schedule and are going to be really good again. And then he has Notre Dame beating Illinois.
Yeah, I don't understand the Illinois thing. Like, I get to have an easy schedule, and this is also another thing that I hate is when I sound like I'm just the biggest hater in the world right now. But this is another thing, man.
You got a case of the Monday.
This is another thing that I really don't like. Is when people try to find this year's version of last year's something.
Yeah.
Like with the NFL draft, who's this year's Puka Nacua? It's like there's not going to be another one. There's not going to be a team in the Big Ten that comes out of nowhere again and competes for a college football playoff. Like that's already not Illinois because they're going to be a preseason top 10 team. So if they make the college football playoff, it's not going to be that big of a shock. So calling it that is not what it is.
But Quinn Ewers is this year's Brock Purdy, right?
Yes.
Okay. I want to make sure. Then he finally, his final first round matchup is number 9 Oregon versus number 8 Georgia. This would be a heck of a game to go here in that first round to have Oregon and Georgia. This would he also has Oregon getting over the hump and knocking out a Georgia team. I mean, look, we have not seen either these teams play, but I still I'm going to take Georgia over Oregon most of the time until I see somebody really go out and show me different, just because that Georgia team just seems to be really good. I know they had a problem last year, but This will be playing, I assume, if you're number 8 Georgia, you're playing in Georgia in that game too.
Mm-hmm.
At home, I would give them the edge in that one if it was me.
Yeah, I would give them the edge too. I mean, that's a long trip for Oregon, number one. Number two, it's the freaking Georgia Bulldogs, and they're going to be really good next year. I have them in the Final Four of my prediction. So I will say this. I think that if Dante Moore is what everybody expects him to be at Oregon, then they're going to be a really good football team. And if there's one of these teams in his first round that has a chance to beat Georgia, it is probably Oregon.
Yeah.
I just have a hard time seeing it personally.
No, that one feels too like, the committee's putting something on the table that's going to get all the views. They're like, screw making it make sense. We're just going to put 8 and 9 right there so we get a really, really good game. Then his quarterfinals, he has Ohio State, who won that first round, taking on number 4 BYU. This is one of those ones who even says in there, it's like, this is why they have to fix the seeding, because this is not a good matchup. And he just has BYU winning the Big 12, so they get that 4 seed. Ohio State is going to go beat the crap out of them. If they were to play BYU, I would assume that's what he has happening too. This is why you want to change the seeding, because that quarterfinal game, you're like, and you want to be like, BYU, prove it. Go beat somebody from the ACC or beat someone from the SEC or beat someone from the Big 10, and then you get into the quarterfinals. But you don't get a free pass because you beat up the Big 12 that wasn't that strong. Now, some people I've read today, somebody thought that there could be 2 Big 12 teams again in the playoff because they could have some better teams this year. But I'll believe that when I see it.
Yeah, I mean, I was one of those people. I have 2 in mind, but I tend to agree with you that the seeding is stupid. Like there's no reason that Arizona State should have been a 4 seed last year because they won the Big 12. Like winning a conference should not guarantee you a top 4 seed by any stretch of the imagination. It should be 1 through 12 in the rankings. That's what your seeds are. I don't understand it, but until they change it, that's what we have to deal with. In this scenario, Ohio State would absolutely dump truck BYU 100%.
Then we get number 3 Clemson, who wins the ACC, taking on at number 6 LSU. Tigers are going to win. I could predict that one automatically in this matchup. But he has Clemson winning. The Clemson Tigers winning this one. Clemson, a lot of people, we've talked about it. When you look at the top players in college football this year, they have a lot of guys on the top of that list. They have really been developing this team. It made the playoffs last year, which may be a year before they really thought they were at the top of their game, which is this season. They are building more of an old school cycle of college football, and they've got their players developed in their system, and they feel pretty good about it. So he does have LSU's run ending here with Clemson.
Yeah, I would 100% see that happening. I believe I had Clemson in my national title against Texas, so I'm really high on Clemson. They're going to have a absolutely stacked roster next year, and they're not going to have to, at least in my opinion, it's not going to be a tough regular season for them in the ACC. So they'll be one of the more fresh teams in terms of, being battered and bruised and whatnot coming into the playoff. So if they can avoid any major injuries, they'll be right there competing for a national title. I would expect them to win this game as well.
Then he has number 2 Penn State, who won the Big 10, taking on number 7 Notre Dame. In this matchup, he has the Nittany Lions moving on. I will state, if you look at last year as an example, it doesn't feel like all four higher seeds would win in the second round. Now, he does have Ohio State beating BYU, but then he does have Clemson and Penn State winning their higher seeds. I'm just saying all 4 lost last year. So I wouldn't expect all of them to win it this year, or 3 out of 4 seems maybe low too in college football. That rest apparently wasn't as good.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things you have to take into account there is that Arizona State was a 4 seed and Boise State also got a bye. So it's kind of a little bit different, but I would pick Penn State in this matchup. I think they're going to be really good. I have them as my number 2 seed as well. I'm not as high on Notre Dame as a lot of people are, just because I don't know what their quarterback situation is going to end up being like. But they played for a national title last year and they're bringing a lot of people back, so they'll be in there. But I think this is finally the year where James Franklin breaks through and wins a couple big games, and this will be the first one.
Yeah, and I mean, he hasn't won in the Big Ten in his to get to that spot. So he's got James Franklin jumping up that coaches list, best coaches list we talked about on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, he has number 1 Texas taking on number 9 Oregon. Has Texas going in. His line is Oregon is hoping this is the year to get over the hump, but unfortunately for Lanning and the Ducks, they run into the deepest and most talented team in college football in 2025. So pretty high praise there for the Texas Longhorns, and Texas wins this game as well. He then in the semifinals has Ohio State versus Texas in the Fiesta Bowl. This will be a rematch from last year of Ohio State and Texas, and he has Texas taking the win here. It really feels like, there would be some matchups this year that would mean a ton, and a rematch in the college football playoffs against Ohio State would be a huge, huge game for Sark and his legacy of can you get over that hump. And when they play Georgia this year, those are some of those big games. It's like, because the week 1 game against Ohio State doesn't carry the weight that a playoff game would carry, where you can't get knocked out by the same team 2 years in a row. And the same thing, you can't lose to Georgia 3 times in a row. Some of these matchups you're going to have to win, Sark. So those will be the big matchups that you have to worry about if you're Sark, to just go, we cannot lose these. We got to go out and play a better game.
Yeah. If this ends up holding true and Texas plays Ohio State in a national semifinal again, it will, without a doubt, be the biggest game in Steve Sarkisian's coaching career.
Yeah.
So, I think he's going to break through this year. I obviously have Texas winning the national title. I think that they're a better football team from top to bottom than Ohio State. I totally agree with his statement that they're the deepest and most talented team in college football this year after all the transfer portal additions they made, especially late. So, I can't really make an argument for Ohio State to win this game unless there is some sort of major injury problem that Texas has. If that's the case, then I think they have a shot. But based on the way they dealt with Jeremiah Smith last year, and the fact that Ohio State's going to have a new quarterback in his first year in the college football playoff in this scenario, I just, I don't know. I just can't see a way that they get by Texas here and Sark finally breaks through to a national title.
Then he has number 2 Penn State taking on number 3 Clemson, and Penn State doesn't get it done. He agrees with Matt. Clemson heading on to that national championship, and this kind of goes into the world of quarterbacks rule all. Cade Klubnik looks better than Drew Aller. And everybody's believing big things for Arch Manning, even though it is his first year as the official starter for Texas. But Arch Manning versus Cade Klubnik would be a big drawing matchup going into the national championship game.
Yeah, 2 best teams in college football, in my opinion. 2 of the top 3 quarterbacks in college football, in my opinion. It would be a hell of a game. I think it would be a lot lower scoring than people think, though.
Oh, yeah.
I think both these defenses are going to be incredibly elite. So it's going to be kind of more of a Texas-Ohio State type game, like from last year where it was, a really tight one for most of the way. But, I fully believe that Texas is on the right track to finally break through and win a national title this year. And, if this scenario holds true and Steve Sarkisian beats Dan Lanning in the quarter, Ryan Day in the semi, and Dabo Sweeney in the championship game, you got to vault him up that coaching list.
Yeah, I think you would have to vault him up the coaching list if he pulls off all those wins. He does have Texas winning the national title as well. And yeah, I mean, that does feel like a game, if that were to happen, that both coaches are really trying to not make the mistake. Mm-hmm. Where you're like, it's a chess game and you're like, I can't leave anyone exposed. So, with Cade Klubnik, you trust him probably more than you're going to trust Arch Manning at that point. So maybe you let him go a little bit more. But at the same part, both guys, you're going to be like, run the ball, hold on to it, try and make smart passes. And every once in a while, we'll take a shot, but we'll really try to make sure we're not throwing into coverage, trying not to make, dangerous passes and things like that, because we don't want it to swing on one play one way or the other. But right now, preseason, it feeling more and more that you see more and more people putting on the list that may be your matchup for the national championship preseason before we get into games and really get a test. Now we'll see week 1 a little bit more about Arch Manning, but that's a lot of people's belief right now.
I want it to be noted, though, that I said Texas and Clemson first. I want that to be noted because I said that before a lot of these other predictions that came out.
Yeah.
So
it's recorded. It's on the internet.
We're going to write that down. We're going to put a star next to it and underline it. Matt was right if this happens. If this doesn't happen, then I don't want to talk about it. But
knock it off. No, it's no longer listed anymore. It's no longer one of the predictions.
But I hope I understand that idea that like you don't want to be the one that makes the mistake and have the game swing in one direction or the other because of one play. And I totally agree with it. I think that would be the way to go, obviously. But I would also really, really like to see how loose this Texas team is coming into this game. Like if they've just been dominant the whole season, for example, and just crushing everyone. Do they go into the game like a 2019 LSU where they're just throwing the ball all over the yard and taking all the big shots and really going for the throat early? I would love to see that, but conventional wisdom would say Sark's not going to do something like that. He's going to play the chess game, because if you get in a chess game with anybody in college football in terms of, matchup to matchup, Sark is probably the last person I would want to have to do that with.
No, and I mean, that's clearly you don't want to do it with Kirby Smart either, because that's gone. Well, but I a lot of that also depends on what Arch does this season, right? Like if Arch comes out and he's dealing and he's got 25 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, you're going to let him throw the football. But if he's got 20 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, probably going to play a little bit safer. And so, it really depends on, and we know, every quarterback's going to have a few interceptions because you're going to hit a guy right on the hands. That ball's going to go flying up in the air or bounce off his helmet. So even the greatest quarterback who throws pretty much only safe throws will probably throw a pick or two just solely on a receiver making a mistake, or, just completely misreading something off the back end, and the defensive coordinator just catches you. Maybe you throw a ball and get hit in the back of the arm when it goes up. All those things happen. So even in the best case scenario, I'm going to give him 3 interceptions. I think he'll probably have a couple more because he is, coming in fresh and coming in without playing a ton. And, you do have to, you're playing against a Georgia team. That team's, it's going to be hard to go through that game without making a pretty bad mistake. Just because they're going to throw everything at you. It's going to be hard to go to Florida and go to the swamp and not, maybe have a miscommunication with a wide receiver in that game when the crowd starts getting louder, and just have a miscommunication. Like those things happen through a season. That's not what you're really worried about. What you're worried about is stepping back and throwing into plays that he should have been able to read pre-snap, throwing into things where he's trying to fit, trying to Brett Favre it and fit it in between the needle, which I guess Brett Favre now is probably not the best term to describe anybody. I think that new Netflix Untold is coming out soon, or the true story or whatever it's called of Brett Favre. I'm sure that's gonna not shed even a better light on him. When you think, hey, what's the worst thing he did? He sent out a dick pic, and they go, oh, also he defrauded the government. Oh, come on, man. You can't do that. Come on, Brett.
And yet Brett Favre's, not banned from the NFL Hall of Fame, is he? Like Pete Rose was for gambling.
Well, look, we're aware that Rob Manfred is.
I'm not trying to get you worked up, Patrick. I'm just saying.
Not doing this. The Baseball Hall of Fame is such a joke. Like, I get the NBA Hall of Fame is somewhat of a joke because they do let way too many people into it. But I appreciate the fact that you're like, no, we want to celebrate the game. And so we want to celebrate all these great players and all the fun plays that made it happen. And, when someone visits the Hall of Fame, it's not something where we're leaving out and excluding really important parts of our game and players. We're including everybody to make this more fun. And then you can draw your own conclusions about who's the best. And then we'll show you and you'll see and you'll go, Oh, well, clearly Shaquille O'Neal had a better career than Tracy McGrady, but they're both Hall of Famers. That's okay. Clearly Tim Duncan was more important than Tim and Manu, but they're all Hall of Famers. It's okay. But in baseball, they're like, I'm sorry, that starting pitcher, he had that one season where, his ERA was like 7. And I know he had 14 other seasons where his ERA was 2. But that one season, maybe we'll let him in on like the 6th ballot. Like, dude, what is wrong with you? It's why I can't stand it. And then, yeah, it's just everything. And there's a fault with everybody. And we won't even get into the subtle racism of the media really liking certain players way more than others. And like them loving Jeff Kent and not liking Barry Bonds. And I get Barry Bonds was a prick, but also Jeff Kent was not the best person in the world. He's just nicer to the media. And so there's all this weird stuff in there that's we won't get into, but that's why I get very upset at the MLB Hall of Fame all the time. And I'm glad Pete Rose is going to go in, but what a bunch of wimps to not let him in while he was alive. Come on. Terrible.
Yeah, totally agree. I say let everybody in the Baseball Hall of Fame that did steroids, like Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds. Let them all in.
Again, we're not pretending. Stop pretending you didn't know what was happening. You let it happen because you wanted the ratings. So if we're banning anybody, Rob Manfred is officially banned. And every commissioner, Bud Selig, all of them are banned from the Hall of Fame because all of them allowed rampant cheating knowing it was happening. Every one of them has allowed cheating. Every single one of them has allowed it and let it stay because it was good for ratings. So all of them should be banned for life from the MLB Hall of Fame. But we don't. We don't ban owners that knew about it. We don't ban any of the non-baseball playing guys who allowed and instigated cheating. But all the players who did it, those are the bad guys. It's terrible. I get it. They were doing steroids. Everyone knew Mark McGuire was on steroids. Everyone knew Sammy Sosa was on steroids. Sammy Sosa had a corked bat at practice in the game one time, and everyone's just like, he said he wasn't real, so we'll just let that go. It was like no big deal that he was juiced up and then also used a bat to try and cheat more, and nobody really cared. It was like a story for like 2 weeks, and then they let it go. Like, it's just crazy. We get it. There again, every 2 or 3 years in the Little League World Series, there's someone cheating. Go talk to any baseball select team, and they'll tell you that they don't want to put their names on their rosters because they know other select teams will try and steal them away to get a better team. That's how rampant cheating is in baseball. It is the most cheating sport because you have guys and the pitchers believe all the batters are cheating, and the batters all believe that the pitchers are cheating. And so they think, well, we can cheat because the other side's cheating, and it's just the worst. But I'll still watch it. I watched it over the weekend. I enjoyed it. But I dislike when people pretend that there's some, gravitas to it. And how dare they? How dare they cheat in a game we're all cheating at? It's crazy to me every time. All right. We're going to take a break. We'll come back into our meathead of the day and wrap it up here on a Monday on Open Gym on Texas Sports Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Tom McKay with Audiovisual Consultations.
And Camilla McKay.
Hey, kid, you want to hear a dad joke?
Sure, old man.
A guy walks into a flat... Oh, that was terrible. A guy walks into a store and buys an 85-inch flat screen for $2,500. I wasn't done with my joke yet.
Yeah, you were. Here, I got one. What's worse than paying for one overpriced surround sound speaker?
I don't know what.
Paying for 2 overpriced surround sound speakers?
All right, well, here at Audiovisual, we do like to laugh. And by calling 512-255-8678, you can share in that laughter. Stop paying extra for lesser quality and visit avconsultations.com today.
All right. You got me going now. One more.
All right, here we go.
A guy walks into a bar, and then a speaker, and then a projector.
All right. I think they get it, kid. Give us a call at 512-255-8678 or see us online at avconsultations.com.
And all jokes aside, remember to hug your kids, laugh with strangers, and make love to whoever the hell you want.
Just give us a call, 512-255-8678.
You see Covert everywhere. That personal level of just feeling like it's a personal family interaction.
The customer service, it's impeccable. It's unlike anything I've ever experienced buying a car.
Over the 30 years that I've been buying cars from them, I feel like I know them and they know me.
Covert's done an amazing job of making me feel valued. If you purchase a vehicle and you want to feel like you're part of a family, Join the Covert family.
Come and experience it for yourself.
Covert, born and raised in Austin.
BK here for OLIPOP. Man, this stuff is the game changer of all game changers. Their slogan is a new kind of soda, and that's exactly what it is. You get that same great soda taste, but OLIPOP is actually good for you. Inside of every can, a blend of 7 unique botanicals, plant fibers, and prebiotics. You're getting 9 grams of fiber in every can, only 2 to 5 grams of sugar, and man, the flavor is absolutely there. Classic soda flavors like cola, root beer, lemon lime, and Dr. Goodwin. That's their version of a Dr. Pepper, and some other great flavors as well. The grape, the cream soda, the cherry cola. It's all fantastic. I'm telling y'all, OLIPOP tastes just like the soda you grew up sipping, but with the added benefits of microbiome and digestive health support as well. Pick up OLIPOP at H-E-B, Target, Walmart, Whole Foods, and Costco all throughout the Austin area and the state of Texas. And head over to drinkolipop.com. Use the promo code TEXAS20 for a discount on your first purchase. It's OLIPOP, a new kind of soda.
Back here on Open Gym on Texas Sports Unfiltered as we start to wrap up a Monday edition of Open Gym. Myself, Patrick Davis, alongside Matt Galatzan of Texas Longhorns on SI. Let's get to our meathead of the day. And I know this is like 99% AI. I'm aware, but I saw it today and I thought it was funny of the Ultimate Eagles fan house. And I thought, man, this is Matt's dream home right here. This ugly aisle.
That pebble jumping sheet, that heavy metal.
So, the volume on that, but you can see this Eagles fan home coming across. Would you in any sport live in a house this gaudy, Matt?
No.
No, you couldn't.
No, this is
none of it.
This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I don't care what team it is.
That looks like a training facility right there.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like.
You don't want that one right there? I mean, you got Dak Prescott watching over you while you sleep.
I mean, I can see like a bedroom, like surrounding yourself with your favorite sports paraphernalia in your bedroom, but like the front of your house.
Like this is like, this, I mean,
like,
the TV is really small for someone who cares that much about the Eagles.
That's true also. But like, I mean, this is like, let's say this is like a man cave for watching your sports. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
But like your pool having an Eagles logo, the front of your house having an Eagles logo.
Your dining room here? Your dining room?
No. First of all, my wife, if I had one at the time, would never in a million years allow that. Like, this is obviously, if this ends up being somebody's house, it's some like billionaire Nepo baby who's going to be single for the rest of his life. Like,
you don't like the Eagles logo in the bathroom?
No, it's all terrible. If it was the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Commanders, the Giants, it doesn't matter. It's all terrible.
I don't know. I really feel like you want to dive in the pool and have. I like that it's so poorly done. It's just logos. Like there's nothing really that football related about it. It's just all green and Eagles logos.
If I had a friend who did this with his house with all Cowboy stuff, there's not a chance in hell that I would ever go over to his house just out of principle.
You would go over to his house for the game. It would be fun to go over for the game.
No, out of principle, I would refuse. This is the most ridiculous and disgusting thing I've ever seen. This is worse than the dreamsicle, or what was it? The pimento cheese milkshake that you showed me.
Let's put that back up. Let's see if I can find that one real quick. We can find the pimento cheese milkshake that everybody loves. No, I don't know if I still have it in there.
Let's hope you don't.
I don't know if I still have it in there. It was really good stuff. But I don't know if I still have it in here somewhere. There's still plenty of this other gross stuff that's in there, but I can find the other stuff, but we'll start wrapping up the show here on a Monday. Good show today, Matt. Tomorrow should be fun. I believe Will Matthews is going to be joining the show. We had Ricky Williams on with Brad and with BK and Bucky this morning. And then we'll have Will Matthews coming on with us tomorrow afternoon, 4:00, right when the show starts. We'll have Will Matthews joining us. So looking forward to that. I believe he's a Westwood Warrior like I am. Grew up here in Austin and played for the Texas Longhorns, and now the sideline reporter for the Texas Longhorns as well. So should have some good insight as we continue on this week. Looking forward to it. Should be a good interview tomorrow, right, Matt?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've never had the pleasure of meeting Will Matthews, so I'm looking forward to that one. And getting some good info on what Texas has to face coming up in this tournament. So
yeah, I've got to work with him a few times in our in helping out the man Craig Way as we would do spring games and stuff like that. So got to work with him a few times. Happy to have him on the show tomorrow. We hope you join us. But until then, be kind, be safe, keep your underwear clean, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow for